premiership favourites and every chance to win the lot. Opening bounce on Friday night. Rucks go at it. Hill got first hand to it. Out of the middle, it's Crameri. Kicks it down towards half forward. Hangs a long time in the air. The other first gamer, Carlisle, edged under the ball. Zaharakis took it from Monfries. Monfries took the mark behind Carlisle. And Neagle, as he often does, gets a pretty quick goal. We've seen this a few times this season.
What we saw there, we saw Angus Monfries. He's actually, we've spoken about a couple of times that he's almost the ideal defensive forward. He's gone to Maxwell. That's Carlisle. It actually has freed up Harry O'Brien. So he's another player that Essendon don't want free, but a good structural start from the Bombers.
Here's Neagle. He's never played against the Magpies. He kicks and kicks accurately. So, if you like, his first kick against Collingwood is a goal in his 19th game.
Well, that's the kind of start you want, don't you? To get the first opportunity, and importantly, Nagel went back and sort of nailed that longish goal. But they won the clearance. They just, if they don't win the clearances convincingly tonight, you just think Collingwood, once they get the ball into their forward line, you can't get it out. So if it's up the other end, they can't hem you in.
Angus Monfries really is the perfect defensive forward because he attracts the ball. So Nick Maxwell's going to have a hands full there. The flip side of the coin is Essendon can't afford to then let Harry O'Brien be the free Collingwood defender because he's more than capable of playing the same sort of role.
He hasn't been as accurate this year, Neagle. 10 goals, 8 now. He kicked 19-4 last season. That's at the other end.
See Michael Hurley there. Brown pushed into him for about the first 30 seconds of the game.
So, speaking of Brown, almost, and then Hocking, Melsham run down, and then Zaharakis. A good start here, very early, I know, but inside 50 again. Carlisle has been involved a couple of times. Can't quite get rid of it, and then Blair down low. Crameri right in there, so the new guys, the debutants. The 7 debutants have played this year, the Bombers. Collingwood only the 1, and he's out there tonight in Blair.
Good confident start by the 2 young boys, Crameri and Carlisle. Crameri got the first kick of the game out of the centre clear, and Carlisle's been involved in some of the early forward forays.
So boundary throw in. Clears both the ruckman, falls behind. Melksham's hand pass straight up in the air. Socket forward by Tuvey. Willingham drives it around the outer side. Lee Brown got a hand to it. The Banks favours Hocking though, and he comes away nicely. Melsham once more sold a teammate into trouble. That was Crameri, and as a result, Pendlebury bursts across the wing and a beautiful kick onto the chest of Cloak. Now this is the acid test. Pendlebury wants to help out, but Cloak is going back to take a shot.
The first thing, it was interesting. Cloak caught the mark, and Dawes is running the goal square, but Cloak wasn't looking like passing it. He's going to have a go at kicking the goal. Well, that's the first positive attitude.
Yeah,
I would have thought. He wants to take the shot.
Proof will be in the pudding.
Yeah.
Really struggled last week. So steps to the 50. Kick is on the way, and he's got the goal. Oh, nice.
Well, it's nice to get the first one on the board, no matter who you are. But when Travis Cloak has had his days of inaccuracy, as the Collingwood team has, it's the one flaw in their performance this year. They've had a few games where, well, last week, they were very inaccurate. But I was actually quite taken the way he marked the ball. There was nothing obvious on, so he was going to go back and take the shot.
Really, really important from a confidence point of view for Travis Cloak.
Don't push him in, Henry.
Just having a really good look at his Travis Cloak's kicking action. Has probably been under more scrutiny than any others. I think the really important thing about slotting the first goal is the confidence, not only for him as an individual, but also the confidence that his teammates will garner from that.
Couple of father-sons, Neagle and Cloak, the early goals. So all square. Crameri getting involved again. And then Melsham down low, and then Brown and Swan. Good tackle, Neagle. O'Brien slipped out. Neagle again. Quick give. Watson wider. Melsham back inside. Neagle, well, he felt it coming and he had to get rid of it in a hurry. And Collingwood were quickly onto it. And then Johnson up and under. Medhurst's first half crack at it. Hill got involved. Hurley's handball, a bit to space, and then Howlett to Hill. And then Hill, good hands. Zaharakis. And then Zaharakis with a probing. Kip Hardingham couldn't get the run at it. Got rid of a couple though. Running onto it, Monfries. Goes back to Neagle. And well cut off by Harry O'Brien.
Just chips it outside the 50, knocked back in by Zaharakis, who started well, but that kick not the equal of his earlier good work. He's been very busy so far. 4 possessions for Zaharakis. Not a good kick coming out from Harry. So Dane Swan in the back pocket, drives it towards the outer side wing. 1-on-1, the bigger man wins. That's Lee Brown, turns around immediately, pops it out in front of the leading doors. Hurley corrals him close to the boundary. Pendlebury goes with the right boot, just lobs it, but only as far as McVeigh. So McVeigh at right half back, told to play on, kicks beyond the wing. No contest. Tuvey, cult hero, takes the mark, left half back, and again takes plenty off the kick, just lobbing it over the head of Blair. Blair runs down towards half forward, chips to outside the 50, but as if he was looking for Hurley, finds the Essendon defender. So pretty sloppy game as both sides turning over the ball almost ad nauseum. Comes back to Dempsey.
So Dempsey deep in the back half. That's a good kick. Slattery back in the team after 5 weeks out, and now McVeigh long towards Monfries. He did well there, Monfries. Just held Maxwell and then flicks it back to Neagle. Neagle's hand should have been quicker. He needed a left-hand hand pass to Monfries. It was the 1-2. Down to you, Tim.
Well, it's an interesting battle there between Monfries and Maxwell because there's been a merry-go-round in the Essendon forward line. Monfries has tried to get to Maxwell. Maxwell's been trying to get to Carlisle. And O'Brien in the early part of this first quarter has been the free Collingwood defender.
Okay, yep, no worries.
I think we often see how
that's cool.
how forward lines are attacking the opposition defence.
Bring it in, it's a bounce.
So after that consultation, umpire Ryan's going to bounce it down.
Just saying that Collingwood forward, particularly Brown, really attacked Hurley in the first 30 seconds. So obviously the pressure was, let's get into the young player.
Good bounce. Pressure on there. Umpires hate it. It floats back above their head and goes out of bounds. Wellingham is slung firmly by the first gamer Crameri, who's caught the eye so far. He's been pretty good. Number 45, the other first gamer. Jake Carlisle, number 22. Some strength in there. Bit older body. Brown took clean possession, kicks it up towards the wing. Closing on the football is Hocking, does well. Straightens up on the left, kicks inside the forward 50. Hill. And this is where he's dangerous.
This is a huge result for Essendon and David Hill in particular. About 5 minutes ago, Darren Jolly was actually positioning himself as the Collingwood full forward, and David Hill was motioning towards the bench, clearly uncomfortable playing full back. And from an Essendon point of view, you don't want him there. He has the damage and has the opportunity to kick goals for the Bombers.
And of course, Essendon missing a bit of height back there with Dustin Fletcher out of the side. So Hill comes in and kicks truly. Bombers lead by 6. They lead by that score.
Well, it's been a good start, no doubt about that, by Essendon. They've had the energy in this early bit of the game. I mean, you often use that term, but it's just they seem to be getting their numbers around the contest. We often think of Collingwood's swarm of black and white jumpers. It just keeps getting there to outnumber the opposition. But Essendon have got it in this first part of the game, and importantly had a couple of shots, kicked a couple of goals.
The key indicators, I guess, contested possessions and tackles are really important for both sides. Really great start. The energy is certainly there from the Essendon point of view. Actually, at the moment, they've had 4 inside 50 tackles, which is this one wasn't set up that way, but the indicators are there. The contested possessions are high, and the tackles also.
So, Tim, a lot of energy, as Lee said, from the Bombers right now.
Yes, and maybe not the same energy from Collingwood too. The first time Essendon had the ball in their own back line, they're actually able to shift it very easily from that part of the ground. So maybe that says something about Collingwood's energy and intensity in the early part.
So Cloak. It's a lovely kick, actually, and Medhurst should have marked it. He does need a big night tonight, Medhurst. Reamer's involved there, and then Medhurst. Well done by Beams. wonderful season he's having, Beams, like a lot of his teammates. And now Pendlebury looks up, gets it inside the 50, a contest, and then Brown wanted to give the first one off, then back to Beams, and that one's sloppy. And Pendlebury too tall for him.
Really was sloppy. They had the opportunity. Darren Jolly deep in the forward, right in the square against Hurley. I would have liked to have seen them just get it in long, bomb it in, and the tall target up there for the Pies.
So 4 ruckmen that kick goals on the ground tonight, aren't they? Ryder, Brown, Jolly, and we've already seen Hill, who you reckon would have really set himself. Crameri, who doesn't look like a first-year player, a first-game player, to Stanton. Collingwood get the turnover. They're good at doing that.
Pendlebury, the hurried kick inside the forward 50, and Brown held his possession and position well.
He's a strong man, isn't he? I mean, he really is got sort of sideways bolt.
Just nudged right around the footy. Protected the drop zone, even though he was behind, and took this mark. Well done. Not always the most reliable kick at goal, the Anvil Lee Brown, but we'll see what he can do from here. He'll kick from just inside the 50, 45-degree angle, and this to make the scores level, and that's a pretty good kick. I think he's got it. He has. We'll just wait for the goal umpire.
It's the pressure, I think, from Collingwood that was really important. We saw the tackle there from Dale Thomas, and that's the kind of thing that they've really built their team about, particularly in the last month.
It was a good contested mark, obviously, but yeah, when Essendon tried to take the ball back inside and Thomas nailed Stanton, they had 4 Collingwood players to be able to sort of mop up that loose ball.
This is the really important bit of vision that Mick Maltos will probably highlight, just the tackle and chase from Dale Thomas. That's what's made Collingwood such a great side, turning the ball over in the front half of the ground. Direct switch to Lee Brown. He's become such a valuable player as that second ruckman going forward.
He's kicked 14-6 this year. Last year 10-17. It's a massive difference for him. He's been converting. It was last year a big problem. Zaharakis to Lonergan to fall forward almost. Monfils caught underneath it. Brown, good hands. Prisciacoma, well played to Thomas. What a fantastic year he's having as he kicks the ball down the line. Hurley almost doors on his back and a boundary throw in. So the ruckman getting early goals here. Thomas's numbers are just up, but he's just done everything right this year. Lots of hard ball going through the roof. Watson, Dempsey, good sidestep, and then measures the kick. Hardigan's big fly at the back. Reimers got rid of one tackle and then hooks back. Now here's a chance for the Bombers. Bouncing footy. Shaw overran it. O'Brien, beautiful pick up. And then a dinky little kick actually as well played. Shaw, Medhurst, they combine very well. Shaw clever to McCaffer.
McCaffer just lays it off, side bottom. Kicks beyond the wing. Doors on the lead. Needs to get behind the mark initially and does.
He'll make sure he doesn't play on over the line. That was almost a temptation to keep going, but he was out of play.
It was a strong temptation, wasn't it? Still, he's done the right thing. He's found a teammate despite the weight. This is Cloak, 75 metres out from goal. Long ball. Didac wrestles with Flattery. Didac dangerous. Almost did a Dennis Stewart. It's taken now by Hocking. Just the short one comes in. And it's taken by this man who's been impressive in recent weeks, Howlett. So Howlett up from the back pocket, told to play on. Hocking tries to shield the ball with the body. Brown just got the ball out of bounds, jarred it there.
In this particular play, it looks like the Collingwood defenders are actually staying back with their respective forwards. Normally, the Collingwood defence has been pushing up into the midfield. They're just going about their defence in their forward 50 a bit better, a bit different.
Works back to Johnson, then Johnson with that left foot hook gets it to about 20 metres, free kick.
Just on that point, Lee, do you think that's perhaps a different structure that they're trying looking forward to September?
Well, they're certainly playing it differently. Yep. I mean, the Essendon have been able to bring the ball out of their Collingwood's out of defence, but because the Collingwood sort of midfield congestion is, yeah, they're not playing it. They're basically like Presti's back on his opponent. Yep. Maxwell's back on his opponent. So, yeah, it is a bit different than what we've seen in recent weeks.
So 9 goals fired from set shots, and he certainly wasn't accurate in his first couple of seasons at Collingwood. but he's got a lot of confidence up, Brown, and yep, he's got a second one. Well, rejuvenating his career, getting towards 30.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It happens. He was let go by the Kangaroos a couple of years ago, picked up by Collingwood, and now he's playing a fairly influential role in the top team. It's been a remarkable 2 years.
He's kicked 15 goals in their last 10 matches, Lee, which is equal to Didac, which is the most of any Collingwood player in that stretch.
Giving him the forward goal kicking and giving him the ruck relief.
Yeah.
He's so handy as Lee Brown. 6th time this year he's kicked multiple goals for the Magpies. And they're on top by 6. Bounce favours Ryder. Goes looking for Watson. Came unglued. Socket off the ground by Jolly. Zaharakis in the action again. He was slung. Charging in was Watson. Got boot to ball. Pendlebury, slick hands. Blair. McCaffer inside the forward 50. Cloak. That was terrific.
So now that's the 6th inside 50 for Collingwood, and they've had the 3 now going on for their 4th scoring shots. It's been Essendon's Achilles heel, the ease at which opposition teams have been able to score once the ball's inside 50.
Well, they've evened up the contested possessions in this last 5 minutes. Then they've had pretty much the last 5 inside 50 entries. So, well, he got the morale-boosting first goal, Clay.
20 seconds!
This, I don't know, I think it's amazing when you actually get the first one, how the pressure gets relieved.
Not so good this time. Misses to the near side. Behind, stretches the lead. It's out to 7. And just in the last couple of minutes, you get the feeling Collingwood have found their mojo.
Funny thing about pressure, you can relieve it, then you can put it straight back on.
They must be so confident, though, as a group, having played great football for a couple of months now. Good mark taken by Jolly. To Johnson. Neat kick to Thomas. Lee, in the opening, you talk about so many blokes having career best seasons, and we're looking at them, aren't we?
Yeah.
No advantage. No, he didn't, Michael. He tripped up from behind. Accidental, but still there.
And the career best seasons are on the back of performing a role, and that's what Collingwood have done so well. They have a really clear understanding of not only their role but their teammates' roles, and therefore their overall confidence improves and the team improves.
Well, he tripped up himself there, Lee Brown.
A bit unlucky there early, I think.
The anvil did himself in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you'd back him to kick this, wouldn't you?
He's on song.
Just across, so just scraping in from behind. So Collingwood doing all the attacking now. Brown with a couple of goals and Cloak, but they've scored their last 2 behinds.
Again, it was a turnover before the front, before the centre line. So getting back to that structure that we know from the Magpies.
Well, so much more space back in there tonight than there was last Saturday night against Geelong.
Crameri out of defence after a nice kick in from McVeigh. Dawes gets a fist on it, sends it back towards the 50. Collier slips it away, too slick for Watson. Swan feeds it back to Cloak, centering kick, going back, and eyes only for the football. He knows no other way. Slattery did well. Courageous defender. Goes across the ground is Stanton. Looks back inside now, Stanton. Watson is the target, won't reach him. Blair chopped it off, the little fellow. Bounces around a would-be tackler, has a bounce, goes inside the 50, they hang off him. He was watching Didac last week. Hand passes to Thomas, and Thomas gets the goal.
Well, it's that bringing the ball back inside the centre square. Great if it pays off, but if you get the ball turned over from that half-back flank into the centre square, that's pretty much what happens. He played it well, though, Blair.
Yeah, he did. Summed it up exceptionally well. It was, I mean, it was the risky play by the Bombers to bring the ball back in, and you do that at your peril, I guess, against Collingwood because of the way they do structure up so well.
And this is it here, this inside kick. It's got to work. As soon as Blair got hold of it, the Essendon defence is completely out. But I love the way he held on to it, thought his way through, gave it to a teammate in better position.
3 of the 4 goals have already come from turnovers, which is typical Collingwood football.
And also think of last week, the turnovers of the Bombers in the centre of the ground against Carlton.
Yeah.
I mean, we often talk about why have Essendon been really good. When they make those kicks, Essendon can be really good. But so often they don't make those kicks and you get beaten.
But looking at that kick, it was almost a perfect kick by Stanton because Watson was going to hit him on the chest, so the risk was just too high. Yeah. And Blair was able to cut it off and then do something a bit special with it. It was a good setup. Medhurst, just another fumble. McVeigh, and then Medhurst back. Good tackle. Down low, Dawes to Medhurst. Normally very constructive, and that's a good kick to the top of the square. And Swan, well done.
How's the strength?
Yep.
And then you always knew when it was Swan body on body versus Stanton, he was going to be too strong. It was really the bench press, wasn't it? That was good play by Medhurst to get it in the first place. But I mean, this is just two players, body to body. We'll see it in the replay, I'm sure.
And Swan, in familiar style, one step through for a goal.
He's one of those midfielders that has real physical presence. You see it more often around a stoppage and in through a clearance and those sorts of things. But in the direct one-on-one against Brent Stanton, not known obviously for his contested marking, but you just get the feeling we talked about the energy and the intensity around the ball. It's really shifted in the past 5 or 10 minutes towards the Pies. Great effort by Medhurst to put on the forward pressure and then get the ball into a one-on-one situation.
We see the bench, just the bench press and a push in the chest. Back to the fall of the ball. Great play.
And they know how to start to Collingwood. 9th time this season they've kicked 5 or more goals in an opening term. Although for the first 10 minutes or so sluggish, we're now 6.5 minutes out from quarter time and they seem very much in the groove. 32 plays 12. Already ominous signs. Pendlebury. Beams knocked off the football. Lonergan did well. Hand pass again from the first game at Cranmery. They go forward inside the 50. Brown. O'Brien had to reach for it. Did okay. Maxwell, clever, trapped it. Monfries knocked it out. Reamers snaps. Nobody home. Johnson just goes back and takes the mark in the goal square. Ben Johnson, short to the pocket. Brown. Prestigiacomo is on. He's got the ball at right half back.
We don't see him do this too often, do we, Presti? With a big run and then kicks to centre wing. Hill got in front of Jolly. Switches to Dempsey. And he looks up and decides to go long. Hardingham normally the target now in the last 2 or 3 weeks. O'Brien doing such good work back there again. Well played by Brown too. To Blair, to Tuvey. Hasn't missed a game this year. Thomas off one step. Collingwood players running everywhere here. Side bottom. Johnson on the right side for him. Pendlebury found some space. They're on here. Down the line to McCaffer. And then McCaffer looking to move it on. Shaw getting down towards the goal square. McCaffer keeps it in tight. And Blair's got it.
Just dominating the ball at the moment. The last 15 minutes. 55 disposals to 29 in favour of the Pies.
Just how hard did they run then? They basically had 4 teammates to give it to outside. This runs so hard to get involved in the play, the Collingwood players as a group.
Hasn't played in a losing team, Blair, in his short career. Back in the team tonight. Good looking kick. Gee, that's a great effort. He's standing tall, the little fella, right now.
Epitomises the depth they've got at the moment. There's Lockyer and there's Medhurst has come in, the senior sort of players, but they've also got the rookie players coming in too, which is fantastic.
Yes, I think we see, right on screen, we see that Hooker basically is not sure. As soon as he left, you've got to know, can I influence the play or can I not? And Hooker basically got in between, couldn't influence the player with the footy and allowed McCaffer to get into the hole.
I think some of the Essendon defenders, watching them over the past month in particular, we saw Courtney Dempsey last week, make those decisions too often, the wrong one, to actually, I think you use your direct opponent as a starting point and nullify that option so the opposition can't use your direct opponent. But when you hedge bets like that, it's fraught with danger.
Hill whacks it back over his head. Hudson goes after it, slips it away. Zaharakis, Stanton kicks it towards the outer side. Swan did nicely, side bottom, finds himself in space, beckons a lead, not forthcoming, although Brown gave some competition there. Zaharakis, Dyson, the Bombers under pressure. Stanton, Cranmery has been as good as any of them so far for the Bombers. Just put it into the path of Hocking, runs up towards the wing, jumping in the air, not the spot to be. Collier picked off in mid-flight. Tim?
Last 2 times Essendon have gone forward, they've kicked the ball long and high, perfect for Collingwood defenders. As soon as the ball went in the air, Collingwood players started to line up on the opposite side of the ground for the counter-attack. So they've just got to find a way into their own forward line.
So Watson to Watson as it turned out. Zaharakis had it robbed of him, and then Welling, lovely kick. Well, Brown, going to have his 4th shot on goal in the opening term.
Yes, I think we said in the preview they didn't have a dominant power forward. They have tonight. I think Brown's qualifying as that in this first quarter.
8 scoring shots from the 12 inside 50s. That's been Essendon's problem all year.
He was an interesting pickup at the time, Brown, wasn't he? He played a lot of footy at North Melbourne and obviously at the Dockers before that. And like Jolly, at his 3rd club now, Jolly having been at Melbourne and Sydney, he's played a lot of football for a guy that's not yet 30, and he's kicked 3 goals in the opening term. And Collingwood are away.
Seems to be the trend at the moment to have your genuine ruckman and obviously the player pinch hitter. He's more than a pinch hitter. I think he's quite adept around the work with his actual ruck craft, if you like. But the added bonus is that he knows his way around a forward line. He's spent a lot of time playing on Lee Brown, more so when he was at North Melbourne, and he did have a presence. He knew where to run, knew how to get his teammates into the play. So hindsight's a wonderful thing. That's been a magnificent pickup for the Pies.
Just not being able to get the ball clear, isn't it? The Collingwood, I don't know, they always remind me of a swarm. There's a swarm of black and white jumpers wherever the footy is, and then they take it clear. Wellingham was the one who took it clear.
So that's been a bit different. There was a calm before this swarm, but only lasted about 10 minutes. Hand pass comes out from Howard. Datawood's half forward. Going to the ground is young Carlisle. Did well. Gave it to Howard. Kicks with the outside of the boot. Floats it inside the forward 50. Neagle was up in front. Fingertips to it. Pushing the back. Maxwell gets the free kick.
Nick here. Nick.
You're not going to get too many one-on-one contests down there. I mean, Maxwell was quite prepared to leave Monfries to be the 3rd guy up.
Margin now has got out to 32 points. In the blink of an eye, really. Dawes comes up, uncontested to Beams. Awkward one for Thomas. Back to Beams. Feeds it forward. Pendlebury over the shoulder. Wellingham. That's superb. Stuff for the highlight reel. Well, almost. You know what it needs. It needs a finish. Wellingham goes long towards full forward. Cloak almost. Loose ball at the back. Stanton slides in. Cloak meets him front on. Over the top. Brown claiming a free. Oh.
Too high. Lee Brown, you're on his head. You're sitting on his head.
For a moment, umpire Ryan was wanting to put it on the highlight reel as well, and he was going to play holding the ball.
If it hadn't been a high tackle, it would have been holding the ball, no doubt.
Stanton's long ball out wide. Maxwell front spot with Monfries. And Maxwell over the top. Dishes it out the back. Collier had it taken off in Pendlebury. McCaffer forward to side bottom. And then side bottom to Jolly. Not a great kick. He had to get down low, the big fella. Well played there by Collier not to give the free away, but the handball was ordinary. Tuvey, McCaffer, still McCaffer. Inside to Jolly, back to Pendlebury. Then Monfries, bit sloppy here. And then Johnson's tackle, and it'll be a ball up.
The important thing is where the ball is. It's just always in the front half of the ground for the Pies.
So this is where Stanton gets the free.
He's all over his shoulder. I mean, always think in the back, over the shoulder comes before holding the ball.
So Collier's half volley was good. Puts Reimers a bit under the pump, though.
Bit under the pump. He was struck by the pump. The ball comes out to Hurley, slips it away, taken by Watson. Stanton. Now McVeigh, nothing much to kick to, goes for distance, trying to favour the man on the lead. Hardingham, ricocheted off his body. McCaffer, aided by a good shepherd from Brown, kicked it to Dawes. Now it's picked up by Swan. Swan confronted there by Hurley, gave it back to Dawes. Slipping over on the 50 is Cloak, like it was a speed hump, and we'll have a throw in about 40 metres out from goal. Nathan Buckley would be delighted with this forward line now. It's really functioning well.
Hurlingham, we've been quite impressed with. He's got pressed his opponent tonight. That'll test his ability to have an unimpeded leap at the footy.
Laid down by Ryder. Cremery did well, and now Hooker. There's so much on the back foot now, though. The Bombers and Hocking with a mistake. And Medhurst corrals him, and now Hocking's in a bad spot. Well, he got away with it. So Medhurst working well into this match. And a great Anzac Day game a couple of years ago against Essendon. Swan brilliantly roved. Oh, Brownlow middle stuff, isn't it?
Yes, that was a fantastic bit of goal ground level work, but I thought the hit out from Jolly was just perfect. It just got it into his line. One of the things I think we knows about Swan, he's always on the move around the stoppages. Yeah. He's never stationary. He's always, Didak's the same. They're always on the move through the congestion. Let's have a look at this. I think it was just Dawes actually was the actual hand of footy, but great finish.
You can often sit at home and think that just happens the way it is, but those sort of plays are definitely orchestrated at training. The set play, the stoppage inside the forward 50, they would have worked on that hours and hours during the week. You might only get 1 or 2 opportunities, but it clearly paid off there.
Zaharakis coming up the ground, assisted by trainers, doesn't look good. He's had 10 possessions, Zaharakis, and probably Essendon's best. In fact, certainly. Prestigiacomo tried to get it forward. Maxwell on his back did well, got it to Tuvey. Blair is back on the ground. 11 possessions for him. Brown around the outer side, kicks it straight to Melksham. Melksham across the ground. Ryder feigned a hand pass. Little chip down towards half forward. Now this guy has been sensational. How's this on debut? He's up to, is it 12, 13 possessions now? Meantime, Reimers goes after it. He's claimed. But short of that. Thanks, Bruce. You brought me back to earth. He's one off double figures. Kick goes down towards full forward. From behind Brown. Monfries kicks a goal.
Going to have to take their chances like that, Essendon. They don't really look like they're going to get a whole lot. They've had 13 inside 50 entries. Doubt if they're going to get that for the next 3 quarters. They got so many of those in the first 5 minutes of the game.
That's an unfortunate one for Zaharakis there, Dane Swan. We talk about his strength. He's got strength when he's doesn't even intend it. But on that one there with Monfries, Maxwell, like what he does obviously really well is launch at the ball. We see him there. Monfries made the decision to stay down, and probably the correct one in the end. Got the end result, which was a goal.
So a massive opening term for Collingwood. Looks uptight, doesn't he, Matthew Knights? 5-goal deficit after they started really well. They kicked 2 of the first 3 goals, the Bombers. Ryder, good tap. And then Lonigan building it forward. But the coach strides out quickly. Wants to get amongst the group as fast as he can. Tim told us about the little jiggle-jaggle with Monfries and O'Brien and Maxwell. So quarter time, Collingwood, as they did on Anzac Day, take a big lead. It's 50-18 on Friday Night Footy.
Tested possessions and the clearances. Essendon are going okay there, but Collingwood's tackling. They've had 23 tackles to 14. So even though Essendon getting it first, they're getting it taken back off it straight away.
I wonder if we had the substitute rule there, Lee. Zaharakis on the bench may not be able to come back, but more about that at half-time. An 8-goal opening term for Collingwood. Swan very much a part of it. Watson had to get rid of it in a hurry. Slattery and also Howlett, and then Howlett wide to Hill. Be heavily motivated again tonight, Hill. That one just away. So Collingwood 8 goals in the opening term. For the second time this year, the Bombers have had 7 goals kicked against them by Collingwood in the first quarter. And the forensic scientist Josh Kay tells us that's only happened 3 times prior to this year against the Bombers by Collingwood in something like 220 games. So it's a remarkable effort by Collingwood in the 2 games so far. They've blown them away just as they did on Anzac Day. But you feel like they're in better form now than they were in round 5, don't you?
No doubt. I think one of the parts of the game they've really tied up is defensively. They're just obviously turning the ball over, but denying the opposition the ball as well. So a phenomenal month of football from Collingwood.
Watson to Howlett. He had 13 tackles last week, Howlett. Wellingham, well, brilliant. He just fended off, couldn't quite get it through Dyson. Watson had an airy. Little handball down low. Hill, a second kick early in this quarter. O'Brien searching back against Carlisle. Hardingham gives off to Collier. Always under pressure. back to Hardingham, but they haven't played many games, a lot of these blokes, have they? Hurl, back they go to Hardingham. Again, Slattery tries to backslap it, and Meadows' hands were good.
Didak, Prestigiacomo, Swan, Johnson. Swan again, just gave it to Johnson, who runs the boundary line. Kicks it beyond the wing. Dawes just holds his ground, takes the mark. The very thing that Brad Silva was talking about, in fact, everybody's been talking about since the start of the game. The pressure by Collingwood, eventually winning them back the football. Jolly miscues completely onto the chest of Hocking. A lot of H's in this team. Hocking just pops it over the top. Here's Watson. Watson to Stanton. Dyson. McVeigh just short of the centre. Driving it towards the outer side is Howlett. Mark is taken by Melcham. Cuts back inside. That's more dangerous looking, at least. The lead was coming from Neagle. Kicked over him. Taken by Collier. Scrambles it off the boot. It may have been deflected. No, it was paid a mark. Came off the side of the boot. Jolly gave it to Shaw to the wing and side bottom.
Plenty of time now. Just sizing up where to go. That's not a good kick. Remus should have done better. Wellingham is having a magnificent. Yeah, that's a great kick.
Yep.
That was a magnificent kick by Wellingham.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, Remus, it wasn't a good effort. He looked like actually it was one of the about to be a centre square turnover.
He's got 1 metre trap.
But Remus just ran under the footy.
Cloakers, I think this is his 5th mark tonight, and like Brown, he's a handful forward tonight.
Has been a worrying sign with some of the Essendon defenders and their defensive decisions. I'd like to see a stronger starting point on your direct opponent.
So big figures against Geelong, not many goals, a couple, but he's got 2 so far tonight. He's in good nick. He often is against the Bombers.
Just that siege mentality, that swarm that Lee was talking about in the first quarter. Just it's a perceived pressure, but then it's actual pressure because they're there and they hunt in numbers. To beat that, you've obviously got to have a bit of courage and take the game on, but you want to make sure you execute the skill.
It was a rare occasion when Collingwood actually tried to take the ball back into the centre square, so they weren't going to go around the boundary. Got away with it.
Margin 38 points.
We see Alan Didak on the pine. That's probably one real positive for the Bombers. Slattery's come in and doing a really strong job. He's only had the 1 possession after a hand pass, it wasn't. He's a high possession kicker after 35 touches last week.
Sort of guy who can set that to rights, though. That's the worrying message, I think, for Slattery. Howlett trying to emerge from the pack. That was an interesting hand pass by Cramry. Looked like a throw. Dawes, Pendlebury tries to go to Wellingham. Opportunity for Hurley. Gave it to Dyson. Kicks it inside the centre square. Carlisle had it bouncing around. Knocked away by O'Brien. High was the tackle. Advantage is paid. Remus, Hill. Sold into trouble. Has to run away from his own goal. Goes looking for Remus. Remus took it on the bounce. Terrific tackle by Thomas. And the umpire will ball it up. Well, I'm not sure Remus. Well, that's what the umpire is saying. It was behind Remus. Watch this again. And it probably was. He wasn't making any attempt, but Mick thought it was a free his way.
Jolly, good tap.
9, up we get. Thank you.
The tackle stat's actually quite damning. It's 28-17 in favour of Collingwood, considering they're dominating the play so much, dominating possession. That's a worrying sign for Essendon.
And over the 19 rounds so far, Essendon #1 in tackles and Collingwood #2.
Yep.
And Thomas, going back to earlier, that's another part of his game that's been an improvement, hasn't it?
Yeah. He gets there, really gets there to make that tackle.
Over the back, Carlisle. Bombers just have to try and create something here. It's going to be hard to get through. Collingwood with so many numbers. The ball still not able to get out. And I think that's Wellingham.
9.
Gee, he's got some composure, hasn't he, Wellingham? I mean, he's done some big jobs this year. He's hurt them at the other end as well. Pendlebury held up. And again, I think we'll have a ball up, though. No, Monfries trying to fish it out. And then Maxwell and O'Brien.
Very good judge, Bruce.
Yeah, the ball's in there somewhere. There's a lot of players, a lot of space if you can get it out of this congested group.
Jolly with strength wins it down. Willingham missed the football. Side bottom goes in after it. At the base of the pack is Lonigan.
All right, go lads. Let's try and knock it out. Come
When
on.
you've got so many numbers like that, the obvious one is to have the third man up to break some space and get someone bursting off outside the inner sanctum of that scrum there.
Umps almost had enough, so get in first here. You might win a free kick. It comes wide of the pack, though, easing the congestion. Dawes in the opposite direction. He goes again on the up. Reimers, not his intended target, bounces it to Monfries. Lonigan, he was trapped, got a hand pass away, though. Stanton, Watson, back to Dyson. Dyson confronted there by Shaw. Gives it across towards Hurley to Hocking. Hocking, pretty wayward kick. Out of bounds on the full. And again, the pressure forcing an error, which in its way results in a turnover, albeit a free kick for out of bounds on the full.
It's a great illustration there, wasn't it, of Collingwood's pressure. But actually, I thought Essendon did it well until the kick. They'd actually kept their head pretty well under the pump. Swan going back to Johnson to Swan. And another good kick through the centre to Wellingham. And then Wellingham off one step to side bottom. And then side bottom, he's got Cloak going early. And McCaffer, now Cloak, back inside Lockyer, neat little left foot to Medhurst. Well, two blokes that need big matches, don't they, Lockyer and Medhurst?
Well, that was confident. Side bottom just ran himself into trouble. Just flicked the ball to Cloak, who virtually had the Essendon player hanging off him here, but they got it back anyway.
Tim.
You marked it.
Tim, what have you got for us, mate?
I just want to talk about the pressure. It's so noticeable at ground level here, the difference between the pressure that Collingwood are applying to the ball and the ball carrier and what Essendon are applying to the ball carrier. I mean, they're just not in the same park.
So Medhurst, normally good at these shots. Is that one coming back now? It's fading away. Lee, there's a question with that. What does he have to do, do you reckon, Medhurst, to get back into the team?
Well, he probably has to get on the scoreboard, but even more important, I think he has to put defensive pressure on. I mean, I think Davis hasn't been scoring that much offensively, but the defensive pressure his speed creates, if that's the position Medhurst is after, he has to at least match that.
Dyson's high ball to the outer side, disputed by two Bombers, falls behind. Pendlebury, Shaw, Didak, a little chip down towards half forward. Courage shown there by Hurley. Low down, Dawes was thundering up behind him on the lead. Ricochets off Hurley and goes out of bounds. Michael Malthouse has won 8 of 21 against the Bombers since being at Collingwood. Surprising stat, really, although in the early days, Essendon were in pretty good form. Melksham, Dempsey played it to his own advantage, falling to the ground, hand passed into Brown and ricocheted back. McCaffer was over the football. Eventually it comes across to Johnson. Little chip inside the forward 50 and Jolly.
And what about the structure from the clearance there to have the release players out the back on their natural arc? It was just beautifully set up from the stoppage here. We just see it here. Ben Johnson, left footer, got the whole fat side of the ground, if you like, open, and Darren Jolly as a ruckman knows his way around the forward line.
Good forward. I mean, we've seen what Brown did in the first quarter, but we can see Jolly can go forward in 200 centimetres. He moved into the lead. It wasn't just the overhead mark.
Everybody takes their turn for Collingwood, getting that hard ball. That time it was Beams. And this is Jolly to finish it off. Just gets it through. Nice mark behind the goal too. 63-18.
Well, that's a goal to Jolly, 3 goals to Brown, and they're rucking well and they're kicking goals up forward. They are a really good partnership at the moment. One thing about Jolly, why you can have a Brown, is he's off the ground having a spell, Jolly, but he does tend to be an 80% ruckman, so he can ruck for long periods of time. Very, very athletic for a guy of his size.
Just on this stoppage here,
isn't it? Yeah.
And getting Johnson on his left foot. In the pre-match, we heard Mark Neal talk about Scott Pendlebury getting around at the stoppage on his left foot. Clearly a well-structured team, and they just know each other's strengths and weaknesses so well. A fantastic setup from the Pies.
Such a lopsided game, isn't it? Blair out of the centre, and then Didak so clever to Swan, belting forward. Medhurst caught underneath. Cloak getting back, left foot. That's a chance. Cloak gets his third. Does a bit for your confidence, doesn't it? Didak's little deft stuff started it all in the middle and then off they went.
Well, it's just, I mean, the clearances are 16-12 Essendon's way. They're now just drifted a little bit behind in contested possessions, but I mean, they've got to dominate the ball getting in the contest, because when Collingwood are getting a little bit of movement, a bit of flow, I mean, the scoreboard, 11 goals really from, 12 inside 50 entries, is that right? 20. Look in the wrong column I was.
The really damaging statistic here is centre clearance is actually 11-3 in favour of Essendon. You just saw the ease which Collingwood scored from their centre clears. So if they get their centre clears going, it might get uglier than it already is.
Uglier. Something to look forward to. 51 points the margin. Lonergan ricochets across only as far as Blair. Thomas. Swan. Chief possession getter on the ground now, Swan. Blair. Lonergan out of trouble. That's better. Releases Collier. Takes them on. Swan in pursuit. Stanton finds some space. Kicks inside the forward 50. In front, Hill with a one-hand. Brown did him cold. O'Brien ran into Hill, but not before he got the hand pass away. Maxwell. Blair. So much of the football for Blair. Not hard to take him high. Play on's the call. Blair with the outside of the boot. Going back McCaffer. They met at the football. A few down and shaken. Meantime, Medhurst goes inside the forward 50. It bounces out of bounds. That hurt McVeigh, who was the last man in the queue there.
It's a huge pack. Bit of a delayed response. Not quite sure where Hurley hit maybe.
So Ryder to Watson to Dempsey. Gone.
Had a prior opportunity, must handball immediately.
Yeah, I think the umpire allowed the 360.
Immediately, you can't go the whole circle.
I think it went to about 400 degrees, and that last 40 is when he pinged him, which is fair enough.
And so we talked a lot about turnovers for Collingwood in the forward 50.
And
nailed the tackle. He just, big guy doors, but he wasn't going to let him go.
nothing pleases the coaches more in your forward 50. I know Nathan Buckley looks after the forward 50 for the Pies, but when you see your key forwards putting on tackles like that, you know you're hot.
It's done well, Dawes. Came in on Anzac Day, lovely kick. Collingwood up to 12 goals.
I mean, everybody wants to tackle in their forward line, don't they? I mean, and I guess how do you do that? One, by training and acknowledgement, having the speed. I mean, he's a big guy, Dawes, but he actually has still had the speed to be able to make the couple of steps to get to Dempsey, and then the tackling technique to hold on. I think as a team, they're probably the quickest team in the competition, Collingwood, over the whole field. They all got great acceleration for their size and shape.
So the margin, 57 points, halfway through the second term. Heady stuff for Collingwood. It's going to be a tough night for Essendon unless they find something here. A tough week coming up for them and their coach. Once again, Swan, Didak, a bit too tall for Wellingham, goes behind him, falling to the ground. Dyson to Slattery, kicks it down towards half forward. Shaw goes back, takes the mark. This is ridiculous. Swan again. He's like Jimmy Hoffa in the AFL. They just can't locate him. Ball goes to the outer side. Johnson. Short one to half forward. Jolly. So now Swan is up to 16 after a slow start.
Him being the highest possession, get a bit like saying the sun's coming up tomorrow. It's only a matter of time.
He gave him the start too, Lee, and now he's raced past them. Close to the boundary line, it goes out. So a boundary throw in on the 50. Here's Tim Watson prowling the boundary.
Well, you may think it can't get any worse for the Bombers, but it can. David Zaharakis looks like he's gone for the night with a left knee complaint. We saw that in the first quarter. You can see him there just sitting on the bench when Dane Swan fell across that knee. So his night looks like it's over.
So Watson to Slattery. And then back it goes to Beams, to Wellingham, and then Wellingham to Dawes. Good mark.
Well, Michael Hurley, 3 weeks ago when Michael Hurley against St Kilda at centre-back, I thought it was just magnificent.
Yep.
He's dropped off the last couple of weeks. And, you know, he's a young player, but just just can't quite get himself in the right position defensively this last fortnight, these last 2 games.
Be tough playing key position post for the Bombers in the back half tonight.
But he had the chance really then to spoil. It's just Dawes was just mistimed his jump and his spoil.
It's been accurate this year, Dawes. 21 goals, 9 from set shots. Make that 22-9, and Collingwood up to 13 goals in the opening half, 10 in front.
The percentage of scores going inside 50s through the roof now. That's the 16th scoring shots of Collingwood. 3 goals, 3 from only the 20. I say only the 23 inside 50. So it's been the Bombers' problem for a long time that they concede the 50, but probably more importantly they concede the marks inside 50, and it's really getting pretty ugly here for the Pies, and we're just seeing why they are the premiership favourites at the moment.
Well, Tom talked about the domination of the big forwards. There's Dawes on screen now. 11 of their 16 shots at goal have now come from those 4 big blokes, Cloke, Brown, Jolly and Dawes. They are just dominating, but it's that pressure that's not being applied around further up the ground, and particularly the stoppages, that's causing this.
Margin 63 points again. The segue, Watson to Watson. McVeigh drives it to the outer side. They need several other Watsons. It's taken by Didak. Just stifled the bounce, did brilliantly. Chips it up towards the wing, and Pendlebury. Oh, timing his move. Dawes got to the foot. He spilt the mark. Watson to Melksham. Melksham from centre half back. Kicks beyond the wing. O'Brien goes back. Tried to control it to his own advantage. There was a hill bearing down. Kick came from Monfries, and it's juggled by the first gamer. Carlisle. Jake. Hasn't had a kick as yet, so he's about to... Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. He could.
Back him in, Dennis.
He will?
He will.
How many goes can I have at this time? He's likely to. So Carlisle, we wish him well.
It's a good club.
Yeah. Tom did that. Bruce just gave me a nudge and said, Tom, you did this, Tom.
Against Geelong, I think.
I was a goal kicker at Port Adelaide.
Oh, okay. So, can he match Tom Harley? And he comes. Oh, that was enough to inspire him. He puts it through. He's with the big names.
Spent like one of mine too.
And he's got more hair.
Yes, it took something of just a quick errant kick out of congestion, but at least he was watching the ball and went straight into his hands. But the important thing was he was ready for that quick kick.
Yep. I mean, Essendon's got to start to look at some positives. Slattery's doing a fantastic job on Didak. The young player there, Carlisle. Crameri's been showing a bit. Really have to look at those sort of areas to get some improvement.
And we see little Jared Blair there. I mean, we're used to Swan being a high possession getter, but he's had 14. Rookie lifted player, elevated, fighting for his place in the team, and he's just been as good as anyone tonight.
Lee, you did everything in footy. What did you do with your first kick?
A goal.
Held into it.
In fact, it was here, Bruce, when it was 19th and 20th man.
It was round 16, 1969.
That's right. I got on with about 5 minutes to go.
And through it went. We're in good company, Dennis.
Was that pre-interchange, Lee?
Well, pre-interchange, yeah.
So Swan kicks forward. And then Melsham. I've learned something about Tom, though. He was quick to go with his. Lee was quite happy to let Tom have the glory. Side bottom.
I knew Lee had that in the bank, so I just wanted to get in early.
Sort of stuff you get a statue at the MCG for, don't you?
Well, possession rate at Port Adelaide was a goal every 4 minutes.
Is that the only kick you had for Port?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, memorable.
To Hurley, to Dempsey. I'm not going to ask Lee how many kicks he had. Howland out wide, gets to Shaw, and then Shaw back he goes to Johnson.
Moving on, please. Play on.
Not going to rush it. Just willing to be patient with their setup here and bring it out to the fat side of the ground.
Brown to Presti. Maxwell went on the short lead, and Presti's going to use Harry O'Brien. He might take on Neagle. He does. Tucks it under the arm and then caresses it forward. Pendlebury doing the spoiling at the back. Side, bottom, front and square. Blair yet again. Medhurst, they've worked it well. Collingwood, they've got it back. They're refusing to panic. Johnson to half forward. Sidebottom went down, and now Hill. And then Hill on the left looking for a hard lead from Collier, and he gets it.
Collier's taking the mark. Interesting stat too while we're talking stats. Joe Watson hasn't had a kick. He's had 17 hand passes. Here he is.
On cue. Oh, no.
Still on the handball.
Joe, talk to your son,
It's a
Tim.
record. He's going for the record.
Dyson, long ball inside the forward 50. Oh, terrific grab taken down there by Ryder. That was a good mark against quality opposition. Stretching above Prestigiacomo.
My joke about that the possession rate from Joe Watson, no kicks and 11 handballs. It says a bit about the structure that Collingwood have. They have the inferred pressure and the intensity around the ball, but also when you go forward, you're not quite sure what's there because you see so much black and white. But on this occasion, got the ball in a one-on-one contest, and they've taken marks one-on-one inside their 50 all year, Essendon. And it's been the ruckman.
So Ryder lining up for Essendon's 5th goal. As yet no blemishes, 4 straight, and Ryder makes it 5. Nice kick.
Goal kicking ruckman, Lee, eh?
Well, they have to be. It's interesting just the efficiency of actually goals from inside 50s. That's Essendon's 5th from 20. Collingwood have got 13 from 25. So most of the time, every second time, Collingwood is scoring, every 5th time Essendon. So it's a big difference in the ability to find a way through their forward third.
Why are we seeing 2 ruckmen on the ground a lot more these days? I mean, is it because we've got these ruckmen that can go forward at the moment and kick goals? But we are seeing it this year, aren't we?
Well, I think we've got the 2 teams have both got ruckmen who can kick goals, which is not many teams have got them.
But you do see more of it, even in some of the other teams this year.
Yeah.
Nat Nui Cox, another example of blokes that play a bit together, but maybe just the right combinations. But interesting, it's been a good year for ruckman, I reckon. Pendlebury got it from Swan and then goes back inside and Cloak. Oh, well done, though, in the front by Melchin. That was a good mark.
Save took his skin there.
They kicked 9 goals, 19 last week, Essendon. And you feel if they'd been this accurate in the first half, they might have given Carlton a real run.
Too far.
Bad luck, Williams. That was bad luck. The intent was right. Put the ball under the arm, try and break the lines.
So Brown from centre wing.
Goes across the ground, the short one. Johnson prepared to hesitate inside the centre square. Comes out wide to Pendlebury. Neagle is tracking him. Pendlebury's got the ball forward of the wing. He's been busy tonight too. His 14th possession finds Cloak. Cloak too easily this. Beams has got it. Just lobs it. Well, that's a tall order, so to speak. Blair finds it on the deck, though. Takes on a would-be tackler. Still he's going. 2 of the smallest men, in fact, the 2 smallest on the ground. Collier, Nab Blair. And now it's a push in the back. Advantage is paid, no advantage. Interesting.
He paid in the back.
Tim?
Just on the 50 here.
Well, at the moment, Melksham's playing as a free across half-back for the Bombers, and Johnson is at the other end for Collingwood. So it's going to be a battle between those 2 players who can influence the most contests.
So Watson does get his kick. But Blair gets another crack at it, and Watson gets back to McVeigh. He must be getting a lot of footy, Watson, because every time Tim speaks, Joe does get the ball. Hooker to centre wing. Maxwell belts it away. Neagle sits and waits. Did well, Neagle. Covered the footy. And now just lack of awareness around him. Had to belt forward. Brown got the shoulder down low. But the Bombers were up for it.
Mine.
Yep. It was Hocking. He's a tough nut as well as Brown. Sometimes when that's a good with Neagle, it was a great take. You just feel his orientation around the ground. Doesn't have periphery vision, does he, at times? Ryder, Dempsey, couldn't quite. Lovely hands by Swan. Speaking of lovely hands, to Didak, to Wellingham, who parts his way through. Magnificent kick for the 2nd time in this quarter, and jolly again.
He's been a good player, Wellingham. The way he just worked his way through the centre square. He had one of the best halves I've seen anyone have on Chris Judd against Carlton a few weeks back. He had about 20 possessions to Judd, 7 or 8. So he can play that offensive sort of tagging roll around the middle of the ground. But that was terrific footwork and terrific kick.
He's nothing like Chappie, but I reckon he's nearly as hard to tackle Wellingham, isn't he?
He's really come on the last 12 months.
Well, we've talked about these goal-kicking ruckmen. Jolly with one so far tonight, and now with the second. So 3 to Brown and 2 to Jolly for Collingwood in the opening half.
Well, the big value that gives you, of course, if you actually got a ruckman as one of your forwards for the majority of the night, you're an extra runner.
Yep.
And that's basically working for Collingwood. They so often either have Jolly or Brown deep in. So their 6th forward is often their second ruckman.
Yep. And you're right, I think these two sides have probably got the best balance out of their 2 ruckmen with Ryder and Hill and Jolly and Brown. Just seeing a live shot there of Joe Boston. He's had the 1 kick in the 19 hand passes. You just wonder whether he's carrying that calf, which he had a couple of weeks ago, and actually consciously choosing not to kick the ball. So we'll follow him through the second half of the game.
Big effort, though, isn't it? 20 to half time. In goes Stanton. Wellingham stripped him of the football. Pendlebury. Wellingham quickly to his feet. Kicks inside the forward 50. Coming across on the angle is Melksham. Well, he collided almost with his own teammate. They tripped each other up. Trying to soccer it off the ground. Melksham had it stolen by Medhurst. Goes towards the pocket. Lockyer. Does he keep his head? Yes, he does. Got it to Jolly, who's marked in the opposite pocket. Thought about going short, but he'll go back and line up at goal and perhaps put through his second. Interesting. Bruce was talking about the forensic mind of Josh Kay. Well, he's on the job now. I must admit, he doesn't normally like this release to the public, but he is an Essendon supporter, so he has no reason to continue taking too close a notice to this game. Instead, he's found that in the same week Lee kicked his first goal, man walked on the moon. Jolly comes in, kicks and misses. So obviously, I would think on Neil Armstrong's lips, one small step for Matthews. Maybe not.
Good stuff. Gee, Lee, you had to share the front page.
What was the biggest story, Lee?
Oh, dear.
Dawes again. Well, the biggest first half score for the year is the Western Bulldogs. I think it's 14 goals. It is 14 goals, 589. So Collingwood are 14 goals, 488. And unfortunately for the Bombers, in the really big scores in the opening halves, when a team's kicked 72, they've got 5 against them of the 11. So they've been easy to score against. Can Dawes get a 3rd goal? Well, he doesn't. He tugs it. So the Bulldogs share something with Collingwood for the moment here.
Well, we've often said it'd be a bit scary, Collingwood, if they can get really high accuracy.
Yeah.
Well, sort of tonight's a bit like that. They've actually won the games and had a few, very poor conversions, but tonight they're taking their shots.
Oh, gutsy effort.
Just a
Dawes
replay.
came back. It was intended for Reamers. It required a long kick, and he couldn't get the ball over the trip. Dawes coming back, took the mark, and a bit of work in the back as well.
Harry O'Brien over the other side. One of you will go to him.
Harry's calling for him. From here he can run. Thomas gives him the foot. He just held him up a little. The kick took him to his left, but he's determined. He runs to about 70 metres. Took something off the kick. Up goes Dawes. Couldn't hang on. Hurley falling to the ground. Another hand pass for Watson. Hocking to Stanton. Kicks outside the defensive 50 and Carlisle.
Kick to goal in this opening half. And Brown doing well.
Huge confidence in the side to back the ability to mark the ball one-on-one. All over the ground. They'll get a last roll of the dice here. No.
Have we seen a more one-sided half this year?
No.
Certainly not on Friday night footy.
I reckon when Collingwood played Carlton about 3 weeks ago, Collingwood have actually had some fantastic first half demolitions in this last couple of months.
Well, the top team have played like that tonight. They have been magnificent in this opening half, equaling the highest score this year in the first half of footy. And for Essendon, well, thank God they've been accurate. So 5 straight for them and 14-5 to go down to Tim Watson.
I'm here with David Zaharakis. And David, disappointing end to the night for you. You've done your medial ligament in your left knee, is that right?
Yeah, done in just right at the end of the first quarter. Dane Swan kicked a goal and then rolled back and sort of I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So yeah.
Will that be it for you for this season then?
Yeah, it's an 8-week injury, I think the doc said. So yeah.
Not a really enjoyable time to be sitting on the bench either.
No, it's not, especially when you want to help your teammates when you're down by 60 points. So it's pretty disappointing just being on the bench watching them basically suffer like this. Yeah.
Well, good luck with your recovery.
Thanks for that.
He's had one magic moment, though, against the Pies, hasn't he, last year on Anzac Day. But all Collingwood tonight, writing the record books here. They lead 89-30 at the long break on Friday Night Football.
You've got experienced players in the side. You really need those more experienced players to really step up and pull their weight.
Second half then at the MCG underway on Friday Night Football. Ryder jumps high that time and goes after the footy as well. Lonergan went looking for Watson. Opportunity there eventually for Wellingham. Well, there were plenty of opportunities, but no one could get it out. Wellingham got a kick. Here's Blair, so impressive. McAfee's taken high by Hocking and gets the free kick down towards half forward. Goes to Pendlebury. Oh, beautiful kick. Didak hasn't done very much so far in this game. Just 6 possessions to half time, and the sting could be in the tail. Alan Didak, you would think, just urged on by personal pride. He's a wonderful player, and this could be the start of a big second half. Early touch, if he can convert that to a goal, just spells more trouble as far as the Bombers are concerned. Didak, one of the players you love to watch play, trying to will it back. It won't come back. It's a behind.
Thanks, Trav. That's a mark, mate.
Slattery's been keeping an eye on him all night, hasn't he?
Yep.
So Dyson back in the team tonight, going long. Hill, who started this quarter at centre-half forward. So against Brown. It's in 2 minds, and that's a dangerous kick. Hooker, I haven't called much tonight. Just a couple of disposals. To Hocking, who started well, and now Slattery's been able to slip Didak for the moment. It's hard to imagine, but Essendon's first 5 or 6 minutes was full of promise. It might have even been 10 minutes. Kicked 2 of the first 3 goals tonight. Collingwood looked a bit sloppy, but so good after that. Hill the target. Carlisle with him. High tackle.
You've got it now.
So Pendlebury, what a fine player, getting close to 100 games. Now he's got Shaw very deep, and he doesn't quite get enough on. And Hardingham, with such a good mark, Spill's about the easiest he's ever gone for. And McCaffrey to Shaw, a 3rd bounce, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th. Goes over the top, not a good handball. It'll finally get to Dawes, and then Dawes goes back inside, sweeps it to McCaffrey, and McCaffrey, who started it all, kicks a beauty. One end to the other, a familiar Collingwood goal.
That was smart forward work, really. It's interesting when a player such as Shaw is streaming through the front of the centre square, the forwards ran away from him, as they should, to try and see if their defenders will go with them. And as soon as Shaw got towards the 50-metre mark, the Essendon defender came at him. But Dawes had sort of really got into really usable space. It wasn't a great handball. And there was a bit of a pressure and a good goal by McCaffrey.
Great setup from the Pies. Scott Henry didn't quite get the kick right, but Heath Shaw was actually out there for a long time by himself. McCaffrey we saw across half-back, and then the work rate, which I'm sure is rewarded by the coaching staff, pushed right up again and got the goal. Fantastic work.
Great snap. Very much at home now in this team. Pendlebury feeds it out wide. Shaw, the one bounce from 60 metres out, pulls it back towards full forward. McCaffrey, well, he got his man down if nothing else. Lockyer was taken down off the ground by Beams. Good tackle by McVeigh, jarred the ball out, but almost at a cost, as it was that soccer attempt by Beams, just missed. Dyson to bring it in, goes straight up the middle, and why not? Melksham favoured by the kick as a runner alongside. Lonergan through midfield, kicks to half forward, ill-directed. O'Brien.
It was a poor kick, and then O'Brien with a short one to Blair. And then Blair loves to take them on, and he held up in the tackle and gives to Jolly. And then Jolly to half forward, Slattery. Watson, probably the two best for Essendon together there. Oh, slow, Hurley off the mark. Lonigan, Hurley, they're in a pickle here. High, hoping. Wellingham kept his eyes on it. Hooker with him. Wellingham tried to get it to Shaw. Shaw trapped it very well. Swan and Stanton. He's a hard man to break away from Swan. And then Hooker on the up, okay. Oh.
Play on!
Got a hard one there, the young fella, the debutant. And then Stanton's kick inside's a beauty.
Go with him!
Crameri got
Play on, Angus!
unloaded, so Monfrey's asked to go, kicks to the top of the square, Melsham a chance. Oh, gee, Brown nearly beat the both of them. Neither of them went for it. Hill was doing the roving, gets a half a crack, Hill, and it's a behind.
That last contest almost summed it up.
Yeah, didn't it?
Just see the hit from Crameri here. Just genuinely wasn't looking, not much in that. But the confidence of Brown, the Collingwood key defender, to still go for his mark deep in the defensive 50 is a real highlight for Collingwood.
What did the guy say? What we have here is a failure to communicate. As the ball goes towards the outer side, taken by Lee Brown. Just pops it over the top. Side bottom, looks to the middle. It opens up for Swan, and he will run away. Has one bounce. Runs alongside the centre circles. Probing kick inside the forward 50. Cloak. Couldn't complete the mark, goes after the footy and was taken high. Brushed as the man went past by the thigh. As a result, he gets the free kick. Just centres it back to O'Brien. Now he wants his right side. 55 metres out, goes very long down towards full forward. In from the side, Hurley. Loose ball. Hurley found it, knocked away by Dawes. Spells trouble. Comes across to McCaffer. He got it from Beams. And what did he do? He hit the post. Now, I've got a question for you, Lou.
Yes.
Just popped up thinking about posters. The high post, we've seen this happen quite a bit. The ball that comes in and just skims the top of the goal post. What do we call that? Didac. Well, he won't do it for us. It'll be marked about a metre out. And then goes on with a skid off the top, Lou.
You mean under this proposed rule?
Yeah, sort of. You're cooling to it now, aren't you?
This is good, mate. This is good.
So the throw against
I'm thinking.
Dyson.
No, if it skids off the top of the post over the top of the post,
Yeah.
it would be a behind, like as if it's hit the post.
It's already
Clearly hit the post.
It's already sounding complicated.
Oh,
It's
so-
only if it skims through into the gap.
So we can have a post
That's
going
the
to
proposed.
infinity.
That's the proposed. All of
So
it.
if the ball goes over the post, say 2 metres above the top of the post, but it would have hit the post.
Yeah, it's regarded as just hitting the post.
I'll get back to you. I'm issuing a memo at the moment, Lee.
Put it in the bin then. Beams, over 100 points, Collingwood. Beams gets on the board.
Just between the banter that you two were having, then there was a game going on, and again it was a Collingwood turnover that's generated the forward thrust, and it's just the way they've been able to adhere to their structures and win the areas that they value so much. Contested possession, inside 50s, tackles. For a side, it just smacks of overall domination. McCaffer goes off for a spell. He's one of those role players which has made this side so impressive.
Well, the stats just keep doubling up here, but Collingwood 7 consecutive matches, 100 points or more. You've got to go back to 1977 since they did that in the one season. It's all adding up to something that's going to be a bit special in September, you reckon?
17 midfield, forward by the ball.
And they're going to get into September as the favourite.
Yep.
Riders kick inside the 50. Monfrey's read it well. He marked it, didn't he?
Yep.
And he was quick off the mark.
Back a metre, please, Nick. Back a metre.
Plays his role so well, Monfries. Occupying Maxwell, draws the footy himself.
It's just probably that couple of metres too far back. I reckon Nick got away with half a metre there. He kept saying a metre, the umpire, and Maxwell didn't move too far. So they're up and under, not a good kick. Hardingham, well, we haven't seen much of him tonight. Hill got his head down, nothing much happened. And then Johnson's handball's a beauty.
Beams, some indecision, still time to fall to the ground and give it to Pendlebury. It was a hot one though across towards Lockyer. Well done by Reimers. Little short one from Dyson. And Dempsey will line up from just inside the 50 in much the same spot as that last kick going in. In fact, it was Watson who just chipped it across. Watch that again. There's the build-up. They turn it over. Haven't seen that too often.
I think he's actually spent a bit of time in the vicinity of Swan. Dempsey, I don't know if he's been close enough to know he's been playing on him, but I think he might be. I'm not sure.
So Dempsey. Nice looking kick. That's a beauty right over the umpire's head. 6-1 now, Essendon. Collingwood 16-8.
Got a feeling, Lee, that you feel like coaching Dempsey a bit. This is the second week in a row that you've...
No, he's actually not playing on Swan. I just thought he was in his vicinity there a few times. But you'd have no idea he was playing on Swan. There's never anyone that actually looks like they're within touching distance, but there's just a multitude of opponents.
I'll ask you at the end of the night, Tom, who would Geelong play on Swan, do you reckon, in the finals?
I'll have to think about it.
He's an old adversary of yours, Lee, isn't he? Mickey Malthouse, and still going strong.
Yes, yes. Well, he's got... This is his third team that he's got up the top. Knows what he's doing.
What a great record he's built over the years. And it might be that elusive third premiership, but Hurley to Reimers. Reimers down the line. Dempsey just kicked a good goal. Good give. Collier inside to Hooker, and then Hooker to Howlett, and then Howlett holds his head. Good kick. Well, they played it well, the Bombers. That was the first 5 minutes of the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And Monfries played this exceptionally well. Nick Maxwell was playing out in front. He used the space behind him to sort of duck back, and just as Nick Maxwell had his head on the swivel, looked at Monfries, that's when he made his move. That's what the really good forwards do inside the forward 50.
Collier and Howlett, I reckon they've been good. I mean, they're debutants. They've played well this year. Going to be players. So Monfries, really tight angle, and never gave it the chance.
Well, Essendon are pretty young even when Dustin Fletcher's playing, but it's amazing when Dustin Fletcher's out of the team, they have a real look of youth about them.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
Feisty customer, Angus Monfries from Sturt in South Australia. Nick Maxwell, consummate pro now, captain of Collingwood. Doesn't say too much about what lies ahead, but in his heart of hearts he must be very excited. Cloak goes up and takes the mark on the outer side wing. Kick down towards half forward. Goes for distance. Hooker backs back. Working in front was Thomas. Got hands to it. Hocking tries to wrench the football away. Thomas goes to ground with him. And we've got a whistle. 37 plays 104. The margin was 59 points at halftime, 32 at quarter time. And that's when I think a lot of the enthusiasm was sapped from the Bombers, when the margin was 32 after 8 first quarter goals by Collingwood. Slattery trying to force his way through, but nothing doing. So another ball up.
I always find that very late in the year, that the week after you fall out of the finals race, like Essendon were some chance last week, this week they're no chance. Gee, it's hard actually to get that sort of energy up when you've got 2 or 3 games to go.
Didac tries to get through. And then McVeigh does, but he just had no one to handball to. He had to handball to space, and Beams and Didac combined. Lovely little kick by Didac to Pendlebury.
I think he said he's going to bounce it.
It's going to be the common sense decision, even though he blew the whistle, said it wasn't a mark, so I'll bounce it.
Just shot the gun. I think it's a good decision in the end. He made the mistake and he's called it back.
So Jolly and Ryder. Jolly, a lovely tap again. Number 3, Jolly, hit out to advantage behind Sanderlands, and Jamar the other one.
Yeah, been a good threesome, those that ruck group this year.
I mean, you always feel like Sanderlands is the All-Australian ruckman, but the other 2 guys have, in a normal year, have a chance, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they're all so crucial to their side, the makeup of their side. Fremantle look a far different side without Sanderlands in amongst it.
Reimers changes his mind, and why not? Look at this, 3 of them queuing up here. Hurley goes back inside, but he knows the runners are to his left. Dyson feeds it to McVeigh. McVeigh kicks inside the forward 50. Too easy. Prestigiacomo just left his man, took the chest mark. Johnson out of the back pocket. Over the top, here's Swan. Back to Johnson. Out against the boundary line. It was precise. O'Brien. O'Brien just sends it back to the middle, and Pendlebury coming up the possession 21. And like most of them, found a teammate. This is Brown to the outer side wing, side bottom. Chance again to go end to end here. Lee Brown, not in a familiar role, has a run and a bound, sends it down towards full forward. Well done by Hooker, spills behind. Lockyer kept it alive, gives it to Cloak. Cloak too short with the kick. And the vast army of Collingwood fans not happy with the result, but a lot to be happy about. It was intended for, as you saw the man behind Hurley, Johnson. Pendlebury
works his way through heavy traffic to Thomas, was going to release, decided not to. Great kick, and again brilliant vision by Collingwood. Cloak on the end of it. Pendlebury and Thomas in the same draft, both in the top 5.
2 and 5, I think.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, fantastic. And Pendlebury, one of the best games I've seen Pendlebury play tonight. He's been good all year, but I just think he's just been incredible around the congestion tonight.
Kick 4 this year on Anzac Day. Got 5 on Anzac Day a couple of years ago. Cloak. He's got a great record against the Bombers. And this will be a 4th goal for him tonight. It's going to do his confidence a lot of good. And Collingwood galloping away.
Some pretty happy supporters there.
They're going to have a good night at the footy. They've had a good night, and there's going to be about a good hour to come.
Yep, their lid's off. They're going to have, I think they're preempting a pretty good couple of months.
Lee, did you have trouble keeping the lid on in 1990?
I don't think the Collingwood team was dominating like this group has the last month.
The much publicised goal-kicking action of Travis Cloak. He got that first one. I mean, straight in front, you'd hope it would be a pretty good technique, but just watching it there, I think when you do get that first goal, the confidence is high, so he's been really impressive when he's had his shot in front of the big sticks.
Margin out to 73 points. Watson miscues, just moved it about 2 metres. Jolly falling to the ground. Collier's over the football, eventually picks it up. Comes to Didak, though. He hacks it out towards the outer side, then tracks his own ball. Hill diving across his path. Didak only as far as Hocking. Hocking just turned it up. Hand passed it straight into the path of Blair. Clever by Wellingham. Got it across to Brown. Brown lines up. Heads for home. Has he got his 4th? Oh, well, maybe it was going through Medhurst, though. Tried to mark it. Probably the right thing to do off his hands. He's had one of those nights. His first touch has been poor.
McCaffer.
Long kick from Thomas. You should do this for a living. McCaffer goes in and kicks his 3rd.
Hasn't he been big in his last, it's more than a month now. He's just one of those players, we've spoken a lot about the individual roles that they give Collingwood players within their team. He just knows it so well, knows his limitations. Got to the stage now that when you're preparing to play against Collingwood, you've got to put a bit of time into those players, because he has the defensive forward mentality, but he draws the ball very good overhead, and he's becoming a very reliable goal kicker. Strong hands, doors, the same. When they've got the 2 hands, the footy is just melting in. They're really looking very confident, very comfortable. Great vision from Thomas to look inside there. Yep, 80 points.
He had 3 contested marks against Geelong last week, McCaffer. I gave Dennis the wrong steer there, but Dennis, as always, is in front of the game. He hit the post, McCaffer. They're not giving that full points yet, Den.
Oh, okay. Well, you're ahead of the game too, usually, Bruce. I reckon he'll get 3. Don't worry about that.
Watson out of the centre to Dempsey, and then Dempsey wide, and not a good result. But
there's a really damning statistic. I mean, it's not a damning statistic. It might go to show a little bit what's actually happening. We see Job so good in the clearance work, but Essendon only have the 13 players. Have 13 players with less than 50 games experience. So they're being taught against a really strong and mature Collingwood side about how to go about your football.
Good stuff by Beams to Lockyer. Cloak up the ground, and Hill. So a couple of the big guys, and well done Hill for the moment, but Cloak's at him again. Chasing Dyson. Collier down low. Beams gets hold of him. So I bet you Gold Coast would love Beams not to have come to Collingwood. He would have been handy. Scott Camperelli is off back to Adelaide, and Ashley Prescott's back to Western Australia. That was part of the news with the Bombers this week. Interesting, wasn't it? On the same David, well, not the decision, but the declaration. So Howlett to Collier, a couple of their youngsters, and Collier to Watson. Well played to Collier. Has he got it? No, he hasn't got it. Well, it's not accurate enough. Kicks to the pocket. Ryder got a hand on it. Brown, well done, Melsham, and that one. Is it out on the floor or was it over the line? I think it might have been before it hit his boot.
Young Hardingham's getting a great football experience playing on Prestige Como. He really knows what it's like now to play on a hard checking defender.
So boundary throw in about 25 metres out from goal. Melksham finds his way through, should kick it. I think he has. Well done.
Was coming through at the right angle, wasn't it? I mean, he made sure he was going right foot in to the centre corridor. I think it was a good piece of ruck work to get it to him when he was in motion. First-year player, still obviously light, but he's shown enough in his first year for the Essendon to believe they've got a player.
Just in amongst it there, I think Heath Shaw's his direct opponent, and he was shaking his head after the fact of the goal, but just gave Melksham too much space. Goes to show, it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, you've always got to be on the job.
He's one of 3 18-year-olds out there for the Bombers tonight, Melsham. Taken 10 in the draft. Ream is held up.
Chance, I'll have it. Well tackled. Jump off me, thank you.
Tackling stat 55, Collingwood 36 to Essendon. Dominating possession, but dominating in the hard stuff.
Good tap heel, Watson. So productive in the clearances. And then Lonigan almost wheeled that footy out. And then a quick kick by Stanton. Gets it about 30 metres forward. Carlisle just held up with some strength. And then Shaw, beautiful vision to O'Brien. This defence combined so brilliantly. And then Thomas hooking it back inside. Hurley cutting it off. Had a better third quarter, Hurley. Dyson looking for Neagle at the back. O'Brien courageously. Shaw to sweep.
Right at the interchange gates. Just pops it across to Pendlebury. He was going to kick, then hand passes, side bottom. He's at right half forward, looking back towards the middle, then decides to go down the line. That is touch and go, and it was touched. Cloak lunging at it, so a boundary throw in.
Now, this is a completely different setup that we've seen from Collingwood in the last few weeks. They're just playing really conventional defences, playing on Essendon forwards. Normally they're crowding up to keep the ball in this part of the ground, so different approach tonight.
Jobe Watson has been sensational. Those figures bearing that out. Reamer's only as far as beams. Ricochets off side bottom. Wellingham tried to set Swan away, didn't work out. Hurley. They work it up through the middle. That was Howlett. His kick was smothered. Comes back to him though. Cramley has been pretty good on debut. He started brilliantly. But alas, again, it comes unglued across half back. Collingwood's half back line, that is. McCaffer to left half forward. Beams went up. Wonderful recovery. Scampers after the football. This could bounce on. It does, but wide of the marker behind.
He's tough, isn't he, Beams? I mean, that was a hard collision and jumped back up and belted it forward. It's Collier. It's another one of those 18-year-olds looking for Ryder. Good hands there. Took a lovely mark in the first half and kicked a goal, but haven't seen a lot of him.
Good look there at exactly what Paddy Ryder's got to look to, and chooses to go down straight down the line.
Neagle did well there, used the body, and then decides to load up to centre half forward. Hardingham, first real crack. He hasn't had a kick tonight. This is his first one. Goes wide to Reamers. Then Reamers decides from 50 to go for it, and it's just missed. He likes goal kicking against the Pies. He's kicked 3 in one match. He averages more than a goal a game against Collingwood. Well, the only thing you can say, they have been accurate. 7 goals, 2. That's a long straw, isn't it?
That's a good silver lining.
I'm not sure that'll get a run in the Monday review. That's a pat on the back.
I want Bruce coaching me. This is Wellingham, meantime, past the interchange gates and then kicks directly to Hurley. Early has had his moments tonight, most of them under pressure. He's at left half back. 44 to 118. The rout started early, midway through the opening term. Dempsey got hands to it, couldn't hang on. Pendlebury over the shoulder. O'Brien through the interchange gates, sort of. Just pops it down towards the attacking 50 and Dawes. Dawes is centering kick. Didak. He's marked 40 metres out.
It was actually a really good play by Harry O'Brien to get the ball to Dawes. He's probably everyone's accustomed to him really loading up and launching the ball, but he just dropped his vision. It might be something he's actually been working on in his preparation, but spotted up Dawes instead of blazing away to an outnumbered situation. Good play by Harry.
So Didak just the behind tonight. You'd expect him to kick this. Directly in front. Kick is on its way. It's coming back. Not sure he would have expected that. It was going left to right, straightened, and actually went right to left over the last 10 metres of the trip. Yes, 124 to 44.
Starting to work his way into the game pretty well. And three disposals in the first half. Alan Didak moving up now to 12 on the scorer's sheet. With the amount of work that I guess Slattery has been put under, yeah. You got the feeling the shackles would break at some stage.
Just worked it beautifully. Had 6 disposals to half-time, 6 in this quarter, Didak. So up and going as Dennis thought he might, but he's just like such a beautiful player. And Stanton banging forward. Well played, Maxwell. Belting away and then brilliantly recovering. And then Swan whipped it off his captain. And out wide to Beams. And Beams back to Shaw. Done some running with the footy in this quarter. Oh, wonderful mark by Swan. What about that work rate? That kick, not his absolute best, that's for sure. But having another huge night. And that one out of play. So this is Collingwood's biggest. Yeah,
at least you can see some fun in it.
I think the gruesome for the Collingwood was, can we get the 100 points against the old foe? That's what they're looking for.
Their biggest score so far in the first 3 quarters for Collingwood this year. Beams back inside, and they're about with Cloak to kick a 5th. The highest score by any team at 3/4 time this season.
And it's an amazing scoreline. The actual centre clears a 16 to 10 in favour of Essendon. But clearly not turning that into scoring opportunities. Highlighting the fact that Collingwood do create a turnover outside of the stoppage better than anyone else.
So Cloak, who has kicked 5 in a game this year against Fremantle. Got 4 on Anzac Day and he's got 5 tonight.
Always nice for that conversion to have a couple of shots from point-blank range. I think he's had 3 from close in, so he's nailed them, nailed a couple from further out. I mean, I think we've said all night about Collingwood's defensive pressure has been fantastic, but their ability just to maintain possession on the link-up. Just keep going to the right spot, finding each other. Good vision. They certainly can link up and carry the footy from end to end.
Again, it's the intensity around the stoppage. It was a tackle from Pendlebury getting the ball out to Beams. Beams is in the top 3 for Collingwood for score involvements. He's one of those players, again, you know, probably outside the top 6, but between 6 and 18, that is just so crucial to the overall setup of the footy club.
Got to say, too, the record books are out. Always a dangerous sign at this time of the night. This will be the highest 3/4 time score of the season. 130. Essendon 44, languishing a long way off the speed tonight. They found out about the top side in the AFL, no question about that, and what's required as they try and push up the ladder. Here's Medhurst on the lead, got it from Shaw, goes looking for Cloak. Now he will line up here for a career best. 4 times he's booted 5 goals. If he decides to go for it and gets it, it will be his best performance. Interesting too, Collingwood's biggest winning margins. Everything, nothing is sacred. It's all coming out now against the Bombers. 147 in 1991. Still a way to go, but I'm not ruling it out. Next best, 81 in 1970. So you would think certainly second best is there for the taking. Cloak comes in. This one is just offline. Ryder was up in front. Reamer's at the back. Releases Collier. Collier's away around the outer side. Kicks towards the wing. That was a clever kick. Just lobbed it between two Collingwood players. The mark was taken by Monfries. Monfries goes down towards half forward Neagle. Neagle had it hit his chest. Well, that's interesting. That's what the Beast would do. There's a battle on the outer side. Eventually it comes across towards Tuvey.
Tuvey down the line. McCaffer had a terrific quarter, couple of goals and another shot on, and now Blair. Gee, it's going to be hard to keep him out of the team, the little fella. Good kick.
Great kick.
To Dawes. Well, all their big forwards taking marks, aren't they? I mean, Cloak's taken 10. Well, I wonder if he'll go to the torpedo here. He is a long kick.
You wouldn't think he'd make it with a drop punt. He'd have to kick it 70 metres.
It's on the right side for a torpedo. They tend to sort of come back for the right footer. Bring the house down. Nothing to celebrate.
Have a go at.
Runs out. He's struck it pretty well, but does it get through from behind? I think it does. So Collingwood with complete domination. They had that early, didn't they? And they continue on their merry way. It's been an awesome display by the top team. And three-quarter time here on Friday footy, they're pushing up to a 100-point win over the Bombers, 131-44.
Receiving end of a toweling, so I just said make sure you keep communicating with each other and keep getting your structures right, and hopefully we can kick 3 or 4 goals and keep them to the same.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Often find at the end of the year the gap between top and bottom teams really widens up, doesn't it? Seeing that tonight, graphically illustrated. Collingwood all over the Bombers. Gee, sure did well there to Swan, so 26 now for him. Blair, so good. And that little dinky one down the line to Pendlebury. And then back it goes to Didak, and that's a lovely kick to Dawes, who protected the footy so well. It's a big unit, isn't he? He's got nice skills into side bottom. So very clean hit, Collingwood. Lovely kick again to Jolly. On it goes to Wellingham, and Wellingham a bit of an up and under to fall forward, but he's been a good man to go to. Cloak couldn't quite hook. And interestingly, that Matthew Knight spent so much time with Hooker, didn't he, at three-quarter time?
Spent a lot of time with him. You'd be wondering what his headspace is like at the moment, Carl Hooker. No doubt his confidence is absolutely shot. I guess he got a break even then, so he should take something from that.
Dyson to Hill. On the other side, Carlisle. Just chips it back. A goal with his first kick tonight, Carlisle. Not so good that time, though. Pendlebury coming up for his 27th possession, just forward of the wing. Lobs it back inside the forward 50. In from the side. Well done. Good mark by Hurley after Dyson was able to ground Cloak. So Hurley up from the back pocket. They have been smashed tonight.
Ended up a good result, Hurley taking the mark, but there was plenty of time for Hurley to actually shift over to Cloak and make Dyson the free man. I'm not sure that you'd want your 5'10" player playing on a key centre forward for the opposition.
And that's a good mark by Ryder. And then Lonergan squeezed up a bit, but kicking to Slattery. Beautifully weighted kick, and Slattery getting the run off Didak just for a moment. He kept Didak under control in the first half, and Monfries slips away, takes a good mark.
Limited opportunity's been pretty good tonight.
And then hooking back. It's a good kick. So Monfries with a second goal, and Essendon get the first in the final quarter, as they did in the opening term.
Very much a small marking player, isn't he, Monfries? If he doesn't mark the ball, he doesn't get it very much. He's just a bit like, I guess, Medhurst is down the other end. They're essentially, even though they're not tall, that's how they get the footy.
It looks like McCaffer's actually going to the half-back flank. So Mick Malthouse still throwing out a few different changes, seeing players in different positions. Spent a lot of the night in the forward half and now in the back half on Monfries.
Just before three-quarter time, talking about the biggest margins between these two teams in history. Well, 81 was the second highest margin for Collingwood over Essendon. They're at 82 at the moment, so that number 1 is a long way up though. 147 in 71. Doubt we'll see that. Here's Medhurst about 60 metres out, although they're going to add to their score here as Cloak takes a very good mark. Had no reason to suspect that ball would get through, but Hocking off balance at the last moment didn't put his arms up, and it virtually struck Cloak, and his reflexes were good. He hung on.
I think Collingwood and Cloak have actually pushed that contest between Cloak and Hooker close to goal. I think Hooker's much better if he can play as the running halfback when he's playing as off the top of the goal square as the full-back. I think his reflexes and his acceleration, he's getting caught out. That's probably the message at three-quarter time.
So again, at a career best here, Travis Cloak leans back and misses. He's aware of it, no doubt.
Very different positioning, isn't it? That when you're playing, when you're virtually Cloak's playing full forward for most of this game, playing off there than just to run as the running halfback.
Yep. It's a Dyson. Wellingham made the contest. Jolly good. Didak. McCaffer gets it back inside Cloak again.
You said it was jolly good. That's Cloak's 8th mark inside 50, 12 in total.
See, they're big numbers, aren't they?
Oh, they're massive numbers.
I mean, when he came back against Carlton, he had massive numbers that day, but didn't convert, did he? And against even against Geelong last week, they were good numbers.
I don't think they've kept the Hooker match up all night. I don't think Hurley's been on Cloak, so they've actually just stayed with a direct opponent, but he's just getting clear too often.
Well, third time lucky at that 6th goal. Outside 50, it's a big kick, but he's sort of kicking himself out of form, isn't he? He's kicked 5, 3 and 1 he's missed, so, but they've all come a bit late.
His father David there, Mum Julie.
Was he a good kick at goal, David Cloak?
David, well, he kicked 8 in his last game, if I can recall.
Only as good as your last game.
That wasn't his forte, but that was probably the best he kicked in his whole career, but he did that.
Stanton, Reamers, out of one problem into another, stripped to the football by Pendlebury. Stanton comes after it. Didak emerges with it. McCaffer, well, did nicely initially, then hand pass straight to Reamers. Turvey got an unlucky bounce. Getting away is Monfries. Neagle stops right on the 50. Feeds it back to the middle. That was a good hand pass. Stanton to Collier. Goes in and gets the goal. The boy from Claremont.
Really relying on those sort of players, Collier and Howlett and Melksham and Kamiri.
But the close-ups, they look young, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They just look really young.
You're looking at through the list, and Joe Watson's had 27 possessions. It states the obvious. He needs some help. You're not quite sure where the immediate help's going to come from.
Yeah.
You know, these are project players that are probably 3 or 4 years away, but needs help right now. Good signs, good run. A little bit hesitant there from Nagel, but got on the end of it, Collier. I mean, we're talking about some support for Joe Watson. He's been carrying the can for too long. The immediate support's just not there. These young players like Howlett and Collier and Melksham are going to be there for the next 4, 5, 6 years, but Joe Watson needs his help right now.
61 games is the average for the Essendon players out there tonight, and Collingwood close to 115, so a massive difference there. Collingwood out of the centre. At the back was Reamers. Side bottom, back to Shaw. Good courage by Shaw. He had a lot of Essendon jumpers in his sights there in front of him. And then Shaw banging long, good-looking kick. And a lovely mark by
Does it all.
Well, Blair at 172, and Dennis touched on this earlier. Collier was the shortest player taken in the draft at 173. Blair's on the rookie list. He wasn't taken in that. He's at 172.
But look, they have to have a look at this. He just was able just to get a little bit of elevation over Howlett. Just enough to hold him forward with his knee.
He's going to be a hard man to put out of this team, I reckon, Blair. I know they've got a lot of depth, but he's making a little statement again tonight.
Yeah, so much the story of this Collingwood team is having a look at who might be under pressure next Thursday night. I don't know whether there might be a few Collingwood players ask themselves the same question. I guess Lockyer, Medhurst, I don't think they've done enough tonight to be over a very nervous Thursday night at selection, I think, because Collingwood, as we know, they had 4 changes this week. 4 players out through injury, so if they're all available, a lot of pressure on these guys to hold their spot.
That was actually Collingwood's 23rd mark inside 50. Essendon have only taken 9. That's
23.
It's a season high.
Well, just on averages, like Geelong have averaged about 18. That's fantastic. But if you can get, into double figures, you're doing okay. So you get over 20, that's a lot.
Jared Blair, 25 possessions. He's not supposed to fly, but he is built like a cockpit flat recorder. Coming off the line of the square, it's driven down towards half forward by the Bombers. But nothing doing. It's coming back. There he is again. Blair beams from half forward, sets it up. Dangerous situation. Cloak almost. He's feeling the marking, certainly. Hooker took a while to get rid of it. Melksham did well. Ran hard at the footy. Knocked away by Medhurst. Taken by Beams. Melksham goes after it. Now the tackle lingered. It's going to be a free kick to Beams.
Dane! Over here, mate, come on.
So Dane Beams, seen him play better than this. He's been one of the players that's been reasonably quiet. Having said that, he's coming up for his 22nd possession. And he is pretty reliable when kicking at goal. Don't rule this one out. Beams in, kick is on its way, slides across the face. Nothing doing there. Jolly was up with Hill between the pair of them. The ball goes out of bounds.
He's kicked 7 goals, Beams, in the 2 games against Geelong this year. 2 big games, 4 and 3.
And one of the real positives for Collingwood is their young players have played well on the big stage. I think coaches will look at the games when they play against potential finals opponents and pick the team accordingly.
Stanton did well there. He got out of some traffic. Collier, good tackle from Wellingham.
No prior opportunity come through. Thanks, mate. Here. Ellen, look for the footy. Guys, bouncing it right now.
So Brown and Ryder. Brown, a magnificent opening to this game in the forward 50. Wellingham held up.
Jump off him now.
Well, no team.
Off him. Thank you.
What about a little bit interesting tonight? Collingwood have played fairly much man-to-man in these situations when normally they zone the midfield. So I guess they're just making sure they've got 2 options going forward.
Diving in there, Watson, in the opposite direction, Lockyer, after Pendlebury moved it a few metres, scuffing the ball forward.
Jump up quickly now.
So ball up right on the 50. 56 plays 140. 32, 59 and 87 the margins at the break. So it's been just consistent stuff from Collingwood. Ryder towards midfield. Hill goes back with it. Came through pretty solidly too on the smaller man. Still scrambling after it though. Tuvia didn't stop him, although he's penalised for grabbing Stanton too low. So Stanton's got the free. Spots Reimers. Will it get there in time? Well, Reimers expected the clash, and that was enough. He didn't hang on. Had a disappointing night. He tracks the football out towards the wing. It was McVeigh who knocked it ahead, but McVeigh couldn't get across to help in time. Dawes has got it. Shrugs off Hurley. Well, that was terrific. The kick in from Tuvey, not a good one. Bounces straight to Hocking, who gives it to Dyson. Goes over the shoulder to Stanton. What about the tackle, or lack of the tackle, from Hurley? Just shrugged off by Dawes, who's been so impressive.
And then Monfries gets it from Ryder, and that's a clever handball to Collier. Back inside to Stanton, who goes to Lonergan, and then Lonergan to full forward, and Wellingham courage.
Yep.
He's got plenty of that.
Technique.
He's been pushed into the back 6 in this last quarter as well.
And Thomas with a run. Quick bounce and on to Cloak. Long, hard kick. Good hands. See, that's a great mark.
50.
We'll get the 6, Dennis.
Come with me.
This will help.
No need to force him the ground.
It's just that tricky distance, Bruce.
It's not that far.
That's a powerful mark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great mark.
So over the weeks, it has been his tricky distance, hasn't he? That one that's
Thank you.
clearly inside his long kick, but one where he can tend to steer it a little bit.
Has he always thrown the grass up like that?
Not
Not that I know of, no.
Might be role modelling himself of another left footer.
Lloyd, he's missed his last 3, but he'd kicked very well until then. Well, I was wrong. So he's missed his last 4, and he's still having a really good night, but that's the one little thing. Well, it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got to kick goals. Cam Mooney's been through that a bit over the stretch, hasn't he?
And he's spoken openly about the fact that it probably affected him for a good 18 months after the grand final. So you want to go in as a goal kicking forward. That's what you're paid to do. But he's certainly finding the ball. So that's pretty important.
Hallett's kick not good onto the chest of Prestigiacomo. Beams getting amongst it now. Goes to Brown. Looks to the outer side. That's a nice kick. Thomas. Breaking hard for him is Swan. He's the sort of guy you would honour with the pass. Now he goes in short. Well, Didak's another you would honour. He's got the football. Shows the ball to Henry, but I'm not sure that hasn't been a split decision. Short one, low down, taken by side bottom. In fact, Slattery very good early. Didak, though, with plenty of assistance, gave it to Beam, side bottom. Runs to the 50. Prods it long down towards full forward. Going back was Ryder, did well.
Yes, when Didak marked the ball out in the wing, that was at the end of about an 80-metre run.
Yeah, it was.
Slattery was on his tail. Didak, though, ran hard, got his metre. That's all he needed, the metre advantage to take the mark.
So the shimmy with the ball this time, Dennis, instead of shimmy with the shoulders.
He's a bit harsh on Slattery then, I reckon, because Slats was working as hard as he was.
Yeah, I think he was.
So Essendon in that back half. Hurley banging forward. Neagle. Dennis made a really good point. Neagle often does get those goals early, or a goal. Not much from him since that first little bit. Brown got a good bounce and then takes advantage. Pendlebury after the other Brown. Then Pendlebury, lovely kick wide. Side bottom to Cloak. Go on, go back and kick your 6th. How many marks inside 50 now? That must be 8 or 9.
Well, he's taken 14 marks, and the majority of them would have been. I mean, he's been taking a few upfield, but he's certainly taking a lot deep. 9.
What about Scott Pendlebury? He's one of those rare players. He's got amazing work rate, but then so much composure when he's got the ball. He's just seen the Collingwood player out to the right of his eye, pinpoint delivery.
Improves the angle. No. That was a hard one. Pendlebury never looks to be rushed, does he?
Yeah. And he's got good height too. That the taller midfielder who can sort of reach above the more medium sizes is always a really valuable attribute.
He's throwing the technique out the window now.
Side bottom, Didak, 52 metres out, floats it towards the pocket. McCaffer almost. Melksham, tackled by McCaffer. Melksham makes an effort. Yes, he is.
No prior opportunity.
So ball up 20 metres out. 87 points, is it? It's a bit much for me now. We're getting up near triple figures. But the feeling it will happen. The second attempt, Ryder got it down. Well done by Slattery with the body. Trying to clear a path, then does the work himself. Hand passes forward. Blair, so good over the football. Plays a tackle. Melksham going nowhere, and again he needs to try.
Dragged it into yourself. Come through. Yours, mate.
So
when you drag, yeah, he's right. You're all right, mate. Give it back to him.
Just heard umpire Ryan saying he dragged it in. And then it doesn't matter much whether you try or not. So Blair coming up to his 27th possession. He's booted 2 goals. He's the sort of player, I'm sure, when they brought him into the team, they didn't think he'd become a fixture. Promoted off the rookie list, told to play on. Kicks it long down towards full forward. Hill should mark. Didn't. Falls in front. Slattery got a hand pass away. Hooker to Watson.
Under pressure. Johnson to McCaffer. Clever goal. Typical Collingwood goal. Yeah. He has got 3 now.
He's got his 3. He spent a bit of time across half back on Monfries in the start of this quarter. So Nick Malthouse not afraid to try some different structures for the Pies. But one of those role players, again, he's just been a fantastic last couple of months.
And Lee, Thursday night, I reckon he could rest easy. But he's one of those guys, McCaffrey, he's really had to force his way in, hasn't he?
Well, only up until maybe the last month. Certainly the last month he's been consistent enough to have his place entrenched.
Hasn't he played a good game? Josh Blair, he's had 27 possessions, 13 of those contested.
Goes to the front of the square. They just don't let it out, do they?
Jared Blair,
just always a Collingwood player at the footy.
So the route continues, getting close to the 100. Swan pushing forward and then getting it again and banging inside 50. Dempsey chancing his arm. Then Ryder to Dempsey. Terrific tackle.
Ended up in his back.
Well, not so good apparently.
Sure.
Threw it out. No, you rolled him, but after he hit the ground. Play on. Yeah, you landed his back up.
It was a fast tackle by Didak. He does everything like that.
Play on.
So Howlett. A bounce, but not going very far to Ryder. And Ryder from the heart of the centre square.
Play on.
At the call, goes inside the 50. In front is Hill. Wonderful courage. Maxwell coming back. Brown gets a hand pass out. Mr. Giacomo. O'Brien. Great poise. Beams to the outer side. So suddenly, out of their defensive goal square, they're a danger to score. McCaffrey over the top. Brown is running. Didak is on. He's ignored him. Willingham. Didak can't believe it. He will not be a happy camper. Willingham just...
No, he's had Slattery on his tail all night, and that was one time he got 30 metres into space, but basically the Collingwood player, Brown, sort of turned away from him.
The whole issue made him a little didactic.
Good stretch. That's Carlisle in his first game. Kicked a goal with his first kick. Melcham played a dozen games in his debut season. Hooks to centre half forward. A lot asked of Hill. Got down low. Slattery, Hill. Does he go in board? He does. Henry goes back to Hill, and then Hill has to load up. And with a hook trying to get more distance, and Hardingham hasn't had a lot of contests tonight. And the boundary throw in.
Not huge opportunities. To see the crowd there, just shy of 60,000. Inside 50 differential at the moment. Collingwood 58, Essendon 37, 21. That's a huge number. They've been averaging 16 differential in the past month.
Blair, little toe poke. Howlett went down to ground. Beams to Johnson. And then Johnson to O'Brien to Johnson.
Johnson pulls it back towards the boundary line. McCaffrey goes along the line to Cloak. Interesting too, the differential, 92 possessions. Fast approaching the 100 for Collingwood. There's Lockyer. Dawes. A couple more onto the total. Didak still unhappy. Oh, he's taken without the football. Now he'll be overjoyed, and he doesn't want to see the advantage. Oh, okay. Not sure his heart was in that Didak. Shaw kicks the goal and laughs at Didak.
No, the umpire's not
coming back.
Advantage.
Knocks it up to 100.
So no advantage there. Well, it seemed to spill out, and there was not an Essendon player in the picture, was there? Clearly a free kick. But there was a Collingwood man out there where the ball was rolling, and another one for the hand pass up ahead. Still, all's well that ends well. Didak had a chance a moment ago. He was ignored. This time he gets the goal. No need for that, though. Slattery has played him fair and square and has been terrific. And it wasn't Slattery who gave away the free kick. Didak might think it was.
It was Dyson, of course. Yeah. Good. Slats has done well, I reckon.
I think he's really stuck to the task. He'll be rewarded internally at Essendon on Monday. But
he has had a really good second half, though, Didak. But it's been a good contest. He's made him. He's really made it hard for Didak to get space.
Yep.
Whereas most other Collingwood players have been able to float around and get into the link-up role very easily.
And that 100 points of the run home. Adelaide and Hawthorn.
Well, they beat everyone at the moment.
Well, they're the first team to win 8 in a row. Going into tonight, though, with St Kilda, Geelong and Hawthorn.
Nice heads down over it.
Those 4 teams, including Collingwood, have won 7 in a row this year. This is the first team to have won 8. And, of course, they had the draw and then the win before that. So they haven't lost since May 29. They're on a big stretch. And you feel one that'll get to 10 by the time they get to the finals. No, Brad's all sitting behind us, and Hawthorn are going to play them. And the Hawthorn have done well on them until this year. Who are your top four, Tom?
Top four, I see there. Scott Pendlebury, Lee spoke about his game. He's had the complete game. Travis Cloak's had some misses in front of goal, and Blair's been fantastic. What I've really loved, he's had the 27 possessions, 13 of those contested, and Dane Swan just keeps on racking up the footy.
How far down the list would Watson be? I mean, how many Collingwood... I mean, it's a ridiculous question probably, but Collingwood would have, what, 10 of the best 11 players on the ground? Yeah, Job just needs some help. You even see he's chasing valiantly. He's got a crook calf, and, well, we suspect he's got a crook calf, and just needs some help. He just needs some midfield pressure to help alleviate some of the workload that he's working himself into. Well, Medhurst coughing it up to Slattery. You said before the game that Collingwood would kick 23. You'd think Medhurst would have maybe got 3 or 4 tonight, but it hasn't been his night.
Carlisle back to Stanton, the man who gave him the footy, out wide to Monfries. He hasn't stopped working on their forward line, but it's been a lone hand. Comes back inside to Collier. All the time in the world, Stanton demands the football, gets it inside the centre square. So 100 points the difference. Kick inside the forward 50. Hardingham was up. Wonderful balance. He stayed on his feet. Tuvey, though, was lurking. Got him to ground. The help arrived. Terrific. Swan comes away. 29 possessions. Thomas has got it. Looks back to the middle. Brown, who started so well with his 3 goals, to Pendlebury. 30 possessions for him. And McCaffer, again, a good player tonight. Pendlebury runs on. Huge work rate. Yep. We saw that highlighted at 3/4 time when Brad and I were together just before we started talking.
He's been more noticeable tonight than any other game I've seen. He played that ability for him to really power run, really hard strides.
Breaking down last week's game, and they were talking about exactly that, just running on for the next ball. As Crameri goes wide, Collier, fumble on the outer side there from Crameri. Backhands it, looking for Hocking. In comes Medhurst.
Did well there, Medhurst. Made a contest, but Collier was terrific. Stanton. And now Hocking to Neagle. Kicked the opening goal of the night. See, that's a long time ago now, isn't it? What we've seen since. Presty, oh, well done. Big fist. Melcham, make it a free. Yep. Collingwood fans want that 100 points.
Ball spilled out and then continued on with the tackle. Right?
I can't read lips. So what do you say?
The ball spilled out in the tackle and then continued
the ball
on.
Spilled, I think.
I think ball was the first one.
No, that free kick's there.
Well, he kicked a goal in the 3rd quarter, young Melcham. And squeezes at home. 10 goals, 2.
See it now, Melcham. That's 15 touches. He's tried hard, like a lot of the young players have. Crameri, Collier's been working his way into the game. Howlett's been okay. Clearly no help for Job. Job's been playing a lone hand in the middle, but they are an exceptionally young team.
I think so. And on the defensive spread, they get found out. They just can't seem to run when the opposition have got the ball on the leg.
So it's back to 94 now. So 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. And I think protocol decrees if you're over 100 points behind that you carry your dental records in your sock. But at the moment they don't have to do that. Knocked down by Brown. Didak tried to soccer it forward. Dempsey stood his ground. Brown left it behind. Dempsey did well. Lonergan out of the middle. Floats it inside the forward 50. Lunging at the football was Maxwell. Monfries. Hardingham strong, going over the top press to Giacomo, who got him again on the ground. Gave it to Thomas, to Shaw, now O'Brien.
Worked it well. Pendlebury hanging on. Back to Thomas. Well done, Howlett. Harry O'Brien puts a tackle on. Stanton. And then undecided, not sure. Was going to have a shot. Then made a bit of a mess of it. And Howlett's kick to the advantage of Monfries. Good contest. Neagle got the first goal. And Presty, the good goalkeeper that he is.
Simon Prestigiacomo is so important to the overall structure. We talk about Collingwood playing this forward press to play a forward press really effectively with guys like O'Brien and Maxwell up across the middle of the ground. You need some really strong anchor one-on-one defenders, and he plays that job exceptionally well.
Go back 2 years when Shane Wakeland was keeping Presty out. Presty played 2 games in 2008. I mean, he looked gone, absolutely finished. You know, good career, but that's it. Here he is, better than ever.
He's racking up the ball tonight. That's his 10th possession.
Well on you, mate.
Oh, yes, Prestissimo. Driven towards half forward by Wellingham. Back goes Cloak. Is this number 6? Wow, not his best effort. Shaw goes in. It's back to 100, is it? Oh, my maths. No, not quite. It's 99.
99.
It's late.
He was pretty keen to get his... it is a little bit of sort of queuing up to kick that final goal now. Cloak was pretty keen to make sure he was going to get it. But he just took a half step too rushed.
Slightly different build-up through the guts this time as opposed to around the boundary. Hurley now on a Cloak. It's probably about 118 minutes too late.
I might have bounced through, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's going through.
If Shaw hadn't grabbed it.
He's happy the prayers, and why not?
The boys.
Eddie knows his stats. They've won 24 games by 100 points in their history, Collingwood. They've got 53 seconds to make it 25. What's the betting?
He'll jump the fence and kick it himself.
Right, I still think he thinks he's good enough to play for them. He's led them very well. There's no question about that.
It's definitely some good role modelling. Little young Maguire had the record rolled up the same way Eddie does.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to give him too big a rap. He's still in the opposition team as far as we're concerned, Eddie.
Correct.
Yes.
He's got a mighty team going at the moment. But there'll be bigger tests than this one in the next few weeks. Dyson just dropped it down. And that 100 points looks like being denied. Dempsey to half forward. Thomas a little toe poke. And a boundary throw in. When did you think, Lee, in 1990 you had a real chance? What stage of the year?
A real chance. We won the second semis in qualified for the grand final. That was the inkling you really had a chance.
Not this far out.
You haven't got this far out. All you're doing is trying to qualify. I mean, there's one certainty about our competition. There'll be 4 teams alive going into preliminary final weekend. So basically all you're trying to do is qualify, go in good form. Collingwood is certainly doing that.
Yep. And didn't Geelong find that out in 2007 when they were almost unbeatable and Collingwood almost upended them, didn't they?
Almost.
We know the result, Tom. Didn't have to remind us. Hocking belting it forward. O'Brien comes across the front. And is that a behind? Well, 98's not as good as 99, is it? But it's still got a reasonable ring to it, I reckon. So biggest score for the year. They take that off Geelong. They got the points off them last week, and tonight 162 in front of the Cats' previous biggest score this season of 161. Down to you, Tim.
Here was Scott Pendlebury. Congratulations on your performance tonight. A 98-point win. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, the boys started off a bit sluggish tonight, I thought, but we stuck at the task, and to come away with a big win like that's good.
Talked about a sluggish start. You kicked 8 goals in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think I just sensed, and a few of the boys sensed they were a bit flat, we were a bit fumbly, and all those sort of things that we want to clean up. And good thing is we've got a couple of weeks before final start to clean those up.
I think a lot of people wondered how you might come up after that game last Saturday night. Was it difficult to get yourselves back going through the week?
Yeah, we had a pretty light week on the track. They tried to freshen us up, and you know, obviously the fitness staff did well to get us up for tonight.
Well done.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
I think they're going on a couple of days recreation now, Collingwood. That was the plan 6 weeks ago, that they'd take a couple of days off after tonight.
You've got the 8-day break, so you can do those unusual build-ups with that extra day.
I think Tim might still be down there. Collingwood just congregating. You've probably had a few performances like this, Tom, when Geelong were really flying. I mean, how satisfying are they to win by such a margin?
Look, it's a great feeling going into the finals knowing you're in really good form. And the beauty about Collingwood at the moment is they've got huge depth. Their VFL side's playing well. Such a large pool of talent to pick from. Everyone's desperate to play in September.
Life's sweet, isn't it? Right now, if you're a Magpie. 162 to 64 on Friday Night Footy.